Thank you very much, Quentin. We're underway at the MCG and Jack Viner gets the first clearance for the Demons. Heading to the punt road end in this opening term. He can't get a clearing kick and it's Mills who regathers for the Swans. Kicks up to the wing but Viner intercepts it. Works with Lever and around the boundary line down low. Melcham can't take the mark. It's kept alive for the moment by Tom McCartan. Still a chance for Melbourne through Jaden Hunt. Kicks in the middle of the ground. Petrarca can't take it. Down low, Rampy over the footy. And Alex Neil-Bullen lays the tackle on here. Matt Clinch alongside Andrew Mays. Adam Ramanauskas and Mark McClure are your experts. Lauren Borden down on the boundary. So Melbourne's unbeaten streak is ended. 17 on the trot after Fremantle upsetting the Demons. Their first loss of 2022. And the opening stage is here with no Stephen May and no Lance Franklin.
Pick it onto things quickly for the D's. Hand pass is good too. And Jordan puts it through from 50. Fast start for Melbourne. One straight 6. The Swans yet to score, going to the punt road end in this opening term. We've played a minute. Mark McClure and Adam Ramanauskas on Grandstand AFL.
Well, firstly, good evening to everybody. Yes. It was just some quick hands out of a stoppage there. Pickett just with a little handball, and Jordan was able to kick an easy goal. And yeah, just watching some matchups already early in this game. Sydney without Franklin, they got Heaney as their deepest forward. They want to try steal some goals early. Rampy's got Ben Brown up the other end of the ground. Looks like Rowbottom is standing next to Clayton Oliver to start this game. So some key matchups all over the ground. Probably one that I'm interested in is that Ed Langdon and Justin McInerney on that outer wing at the moment.
So the Demons with the opening goal of the match has gone, does battle in the middle of the ground, wins down the tap and then follows up. He's roving against Laddams, a push in the back against the Melbourne Premiership skipper, and he'll take it. Lauren Borden on the boundary with us tonight. Lauren, good evening to you.
Good evening, Clinchy. Winter has really set in down here. It's a chilly 13 degrees at the moment, and I'll let you take this one in case there's a mark. Not quite.
As Gawn sends it long to half forward, no mark claim. Christian Petrarca onto it on 50, squares the ball beautifully and finds Eng Langdon back into the Melbourne side and a chance to shoot from directly in front, 45 metres out.
Well, you just watch that there. It's terrific. It's a terrific kick by Petrarca. But you just watch Langdon on that other side. We're just so accustomed to him now up and down that one wing. He gets very, very deep forward. He gets very, very deep defensively. So McInerney, a very good young player for the Swans, is going to have to be right on his game today.
Missed last week with a rib injury. A chance for the opening 2 goals for the D's. He comes in, strikes it pretty well, and steers it through. Melbourne show their intent early with the opening 2 goals of the match through the first 3 minutes. They're two straight 12 for the Swans, yet to score. In fact, Sydney have had just the 4 disposals to Melbourne's 12. Mark McClure, good evening to you.
They're just dominating at the moment, Melbourne, and they should after last week. I mean, they got caught last week against Fremantle. They were beaten with speed, and now they're attacking the game. And they've just actually dropped off a little bit if you watch their stats over the last 4 or 5 weeks. That they have not been as hard and tough as they were the last year, and it showed. But now they're actually that actual sting that they got from being beaten by Fremantle, you can see it straight away, Rama.
Well, first 2 goals have come out of their 2 wingers. So Jordan on one wing and Langdon on the other wing. So not accustomed to seeing that as your first 2 goals of the game, but 2 midfielders.
Promising start for the D's. It was going to get better, but instead it's a ruck infringement. This time to Laddams against Gawn, and Laddams can go quickly. Low ball inside 50. Salem backing back. Got to punch in. Now Langdon, hand pass is okay. Well picked up by Viney, off his bootlaces. Hand pass to Brayshaw, who turns and kicks immediately. Gawn crashes the pack. No mark taken. Rampy there to mop up for the Swans. Short kick is okay.
He's hurt someone over there too.
He finds McInerney on the far side beneath the Shane Warne stand.
Yeah, Reardon is the player down and slow to get to his feet.
He hasn't moved. He's got up now,
not.
Just starting.
So McInerney long towards the 50. Reed's in the pack as well. Sported down to the front. Papley hard against the boundary. Hand pass to Parker. Ran into Langdon, who lays a big tackle. The footy stuck underneath him, and the umpire will ball it up. No time to breathe with the Demons looming.
That's what they were like last year. Hard, tough, and hard at it.
Tossed up, Gawn towards Langdon, towards the boundary line. It beats everyone and out of bounds for a throw-in. 55 from the Sydney goal. Going towards the city end in this first term, the Swans. Toss back into play. Adams works his way to the front. Gawn reaches over the top. Parker almost onto it. Fell over at the last moment. Viney there for company. He turned tackler. They tried to get it out of bounds. Kick out of midair inside 50. Almost lands on the chest of McDonald. Couldn't get to him. Heaney, hand pass to McDonald from the pocket. Hooks it back. Not quite far enough across the face for one behind. 5 minutes played opening term. Margin 11 points in favour of the D's.
Big day for McDonald, Logan McDonald. This is his first time without Buddy Franklin in the side. Good test for him against the D's.
A late out for the Demons with Tom McDonald out and Mitch Brown coming in. So we've got Mitch Brown and Ben Brown for our commentators tonight to keep an eye on as Salem is back in the Demons lineup. His first game since round one, so having missed 10 weeks. Kicks a long ball towards half-back. Mitch Brown in the pack, can't take the mark. Neil Bullen knocks it forward for the Demons. A chance for the Swans. Rampy couldn't get it to Florent. Socket along the deck by Petrarca. Gets it to the left half forward for Melbourne. Jordan runs onto it. Tackled by Florent. The footy stuck underneath him as Florent dives over the top. And the umpire will throw it up at left half forward for the D's. Heading to the punt road end in this opening term, it's Melbourne by 11 points.
They moved that ball 50 metres just by foot and push and shove.
Parker through the stoppage. Lovely hands out the back. It was okay to Lloyd off one step. Works it to Haywood, who trapped the ball but turned it over by hand. Gawn spun in a semicircle, snapped off his left. Oliver read it best. Hand pass to Jackson. To Sparrow, who's caught. Lovely pressure by the Swans. Coming up to meet him and getting to his feet. Tom McCartan trots away with a good tackle and a stoppage at the top of 50.
Just looks like they've settled into the game now, Sydney.
Punch towards the boundary line. How will the umpire view that? Throw it in. 45 metres out from Melbourne's goal. So Jack Lever alongside Logan McDonald. Reid, Adam Tomlinson back in the Melbourne lineup with no Stephen May. And Hunt on Papley at this stage. From the throw-in, it comes the way of Oliver of Melbourne. Hand pass to Jordan, almost run down by Rowbottom. Dribbles a kick towards the top of the 50. Laddam's gathered, tackled by Harms. Somehow squeezed a kick into the middle of the ground. And it's marked by Blakey at centre-half back for the Swans.
Switches on two. He goes to left half back. Mark taken by McInerney, who wants to go centrally. It's a good kick to the centre circles. Rowbottom takes the mark. Has Blakey behind him. He gets it on his left and then flares it out wide to Lloyd. Keeps it low inside 50. Mark taken. McDonald in front of Lever. I reckon he's marked that just inside 50. Pops it over the top. Good kick to the run of McInerney, who started this play across half back.
Difficult position to kick from.
Yeah, he's marked 40 metres out, but on the boundary, left forward pocket. In favour of his right boot, but this will take his absolute best. Eyes darting around as he spins the Sherrin in his left hand. In he comes. Opens the angle, doesn't have a shot in the end, puts it at the top of the square. McDonald couldn't get a hand to it. Over the back of the pack. Important contest. Jordan bore one high. Receives the free kick as he was low. And Reid a little cals over the top.
So that was McDonald's first mark. His direct opponent's Lever. If that's going to be his intent all day, to lead up and hit up at the ball, that is a good sign for Sydney, because Lever, we know, loves to drop off, come third man into the contest.
Jordan to Salem, kicks up to half-back. Ben Brown in the pack. And Blakey's there alongside Rampy to spoil out a play. So throw in just outside the 50 for the Sydney Swans. Melbourne with the opening 2 goals through the first 3 minutes through Jordan and Langdon. The Swans have steadied in the last few minutes. Expecting some showers tonight and temperatures of around 12 degrees as it's thrown back in. Jackson up against Laddams. Got it down to Jordan for Melbourne. Hand pass to Sparrow, linking back up with Jordan. Not quite as seamless as they would want. Errol Goulden's over the footy. Tries to knock it out. Oliver just peels it out for Melbourne. Kicks a high ball towards Fridge.
That was brave.
Charging back was Tom McCartan. And no contact was made, but a hold. And it's going to be a Sydney free kick to be taken at right half back.
Fox goes short, back inside defensive 50 to Lloyd. Lloyd across the face of half-back to Rampy, still inside defensive 50, takes a bounce in plenty of space. Short kick is okay too to Paddy McCartan, left half-back here for the Swans. As Fox back inside defensive 50, instead goes short. Low ball is okay and he finds Mills, still at left half-back.
Callum Mills, so important, played that pivotal role against Sydney. Against Richmond behind the ball last week. Sends it long around the wing. Laddams in the pack. Spills it down to the front. Heaney over the footy. Jackson lays a big tackle. Careful not to fall into his back, and the umpire will throw it up on the southern wing of the MCG. Melbourne by 11. Waste no time tossing it in the air. Jackson knocks it down to Oliver. Free kick, a hold, and it's going to go Sydney's way. In the ruck battle, Peter Laddams to take it.
Little cheeky kick away from Clayton Oliver there. A few players asking for 50. Blakey runs around the back, gets the hand pass and delivers beautifully as well. Out on a strong lead, Warner, who was deep forward, and he'll kick from 50 and a 45-degree angle to the left.
So again, Sellers, just another hit up there. So you just wonder, that looks like the intent of Sydney today.
Yeah, control the ball.
Well, control the ball, but make Melbourne defend.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. We've seen him defend so well as a group, but one-on-one, you never know.
Warner from 51 strikes it well enough. Had the distance, but not the accuracy. Near side, one behind. That's a couple tonight for the Swans. They trail by 10 points. The D's 2 straight 12. 10 played opening term.
Salem for Melbourne brings it into the back pocket. Angus Brayshaw takes the mark. Out of contract at season's end. Is short to Salem, not 15. Around the boundary line. Tomlinson gathers on the bounce. Back to Salem. Ran into two Swans in Florent and McDonald. And the hand pass is out of play in front of James Jordan.
This is the other interesting part with Salem coming back into the team and Brayshaw staying as a defender. Those two are two real accumulators of the ball. So just how that works as well for the Demons now.
Melbourne by 10 points from the throw-in. Laddams got it down to Warner. Kicks inside 50. Amati couldn't get a fly at it. Front and centre. Goulden squares it up. McInerney. Great vision. Would have been well within his rights to snap on goal. And found the winger, Justin McInerney, who was waiting in the corridor, presenting for just that kick. Directly in front. He'll shoot from just inside 50. 5 goals, 2 so far this season for the fourth-year Swan. So a chance to strike for the Swans' first goal of the night. From right on 50, McInerney comes in. He hits it a bit shallow and misses, dragging it to the left-hand side. So 3 behinds to start the night for the Swans. Melbourne 2 straight 12. 12 minutes gone. Opening term, ABC Sport.
Well, they're sending a message to Melbourne that you have to pick up your man. Yeah. You have to actually, and they're separating themselves amongst each other. So they've made plenty of options to hit to, and the short passes are hitting home.
Brayshaw short to Salem in the left back pocket. Longer kick this time. Brown in front. Second grab, but couldn't complete the mark. Then turns tackler on the way down. Parker going nowhere. Held up right half forward for the Swans.
And you look at the inside 50s, it's 6-3 now in Sydney's favour. So Melbourne's 3 inside 50s. 2 of those were goals.
Gawn looking for Sparrow. Had a fumble. Warner hooks it almost awkwardly into the middle. It's going to be picked off. Pickett didn't complete the mark. Had support there from Neil Bullen, though, who spots Sparrow over the top of that contest. Chip is good towards the wing. Sparrow going back. Plenty going past him. Just holds things up, and now every player, bar 4, are in front of him. So he kicks to a crowded 50. Brown couldn't get a run at it. Big fist from behind. Laddams in a strong contest. Pickett got out of one tackle, slapped it forward inside 50. Harms tried to go, but he left it behind. And then the ball bounces back towards him while he's on the ground. He's held up by Blakey going nowhere. Ball up inside attacking 50 just for the D's at left half forward.
Melbourne by 9 points. Umpire throws it up. Laddams to do battle with Jackson. Jackson tries to take it out of the ruck. Out pass pitched by Blakey. Toe pokes it into the middle of the ground. Bowie could have been held with not in possession. Just as Haney got the kick forward, it's going to come back. And Jake Bowie will take it on the members' side just as Sydney were about to launch an attack. Suffered his first loss in his AFL career, having experienced the joys of a premiership without tasting defeat. Kicks towards Jackson at half forward, used his body well, got rid of Haywood, had the bigger size in the battle, and was able to take the mark just inside 50 out to the right.
This kid's pretty good, Jackson. He got in the right spot and they kick it to him, and instead of actually that short pass and try and go for the top of the square, just inside 50, he's a really good player, Jackson.
In his 3rd year, out of contract at season's end, hasn't kicked a goal in the last 5 games. So it's been a lot of things right without hitting the scoreboard. Luke Jackson from just inside 50. It's across the face to the left. Gawn's on the behind line, and it does go through. So Melbourne's first behind of the night. They're 2-1-13 to the Swans' 3 behinds. 14 minutes gone opening term on ABC Sport. Swans had 4 of the last 6 inside 50s before that.
Maybe he's no good at it, kicking goals.
It may be.
Lloyd into the right back pocket. Runs his full measure, then long towards half back. but picked off by Petrarca. Kick inside 50. He's intercepted by Paddy McCartan in front of Viney. McCartan going towards the outer side. Heard the call from his brother, who receives it on the bounce. Keeps it low. That's
terrible.
a shocking kick. Turnover ball. Tomlinson chimes in front and he'll repel from right half forward.
Gets his opportunity tonight with no Stephen May. Kicks towards half forward. Not a great kick. And Amati slides in and takes the mark for the Sydney Swans. So maybe just finding the speed of over footy again. As Amati gets his chance, straight down the middle towards Heaney, who's caught behind Brayshaw and Lever. Good tackle laid by Sparrow though on McDonald. It spills out to Parker, kicks towards half forward. Heaney kept running, he marks just at the top of the 50. He's got Reid going to the goal mouth, he might go himself. Bang! Misses to the right. The doors were opening in front of him. It was a vacant goal square. And Isaac Heaney joins McDonald, Warner and McInerney, who haven't been able to make their shots strike. 4 behinds to Melbourne's 2-1-13.
Bowie short to the left back pocket, finds Harms. He goes inboard, a 15-metre pass. Finds Salem, still inside defensive 50 for the D's. Salem, a high kick, just sets it up for Brown. Both Browns to get a run at it. McCartan, Paddy that time with the fist. Petrarca though reads it nicely. Hand pass to Neil Bullen, who put Pickett under all sorts of pressure. He got out of 3 tackles and flared it wide as well. Spargo set a task, shepherded beautifully, allowed Viney into it, and he can go over the top inside 50. And he finds Jackson left forward pocket. Cozzy Pickett set that up, and if Jackson can convert here, it's all down to Cozzy.
Wow, that was just a little 1-by-1 dance floor for Cozzy Pickett there. So,
Welcome to my office.
Yes, nobody could lay a glove on him, but
Hang on.
you love watching that.
He's got to kick this Jackson now.
Missed one opportunity, and this time the snap, and he delivers. And Cozzy Pickett does get his reward for his good work across half-back. Jackson with his first of the evening. The D's have 3, and the margin is 15 points after 17 minutes.
I was going to say Heaney's a real problem for the Demons, because he's the only one with real talent up forward who can score, with Papley as well, and that's about the number of it. And also McDonald's the other one who's got a chance to do so. But Heaney is dangerous. All of a sudden, as soon as they kick that point, they just rush it up the other end. And truly, Cozzy Pickett, that piece of work in the middle of the ground was just extraordinary. Fred Astaire couldn't do any better. and seriously, it was just brilliant stuff. And then on gets into Jackson's hand, and they move it straight away. And the pace of movement from the Demons is beyond belief. They just get it and they move it, and they're all in tune, which really looks good.
Mark McClure with you on ABC Sport. Melbourne out by 15 points. Earlier, the Gold Coast Suns defeated North Melbourne. Strong win there, and Adelaide by 31 points over the West Coast Eagles. No clearance in the middle of the ground as Mills has the footy stuck to the chest of Oliver, and the umpire will throw it up just to the right of the 2 centre circles. A lot of numbers around this contest as Gawn is up against Reid. Reid palms it down but straight to Viney. Tackled, lost it. Good effort from Mills. Reid with a hand pass to Goulden. Kicks out to the southern wing. McDonald underneath it. Lever with a big punch. Gained a good 15 metres. Off the back of the square. Florent with a hand pass to Mills. And then a great kick from Lloyd out to Hayward. He takes the mark attacking side of middle.
Had to give it.
He wanted to go quickly. Warner was the option short. He goes to Papley instead at right half forward. Numbers now getting back inside defensive 50 for Melbourne. So a tougher task here for Papley. He just hooks the ball, puts it to 30 out directly in front. Hayward got a good run at it. Langdon at the back though, able to rove. He kicks it straight down the throat though of Rampy on halfway, so it's coming back.
He's well set, waiting just for that kick. But everyone is in front of him. In the Swans attacking 50. Kicks towards Heaney, did good body work to get rid of Jordan, running onto it. Hayward snaps on the right, won't have the journey. And Brayshaw sets himself a couple of metres out from goal and takes the mark on the chest.
Interesting decision by Hayward. He had enough time to square his shoulders up to the target rather than try to kick a snap. He's never going to make the distance with a snap.
Melbourne by 15 as Brayshaw's long kick is picked off by Sam Reid. A good mark. So the Swans start in, take some good contested marks at right half forward.
He can load up again, another inside 50. No, instead he goes short this time. Fox presents at right half forward. Now he can go inside 50, runs the boundary line. A long kick to the top of the square. Big fist over the top. Gawn, Petty and a few others in that contest. and through for one behind. That's 5 now in this opening term for the Swans. 3-1-19 the D's. The margin 14 points after 20 minutes.
Andrew Mays alongside Matt Clinch, Adam Romanascus, Mark McClure and Lauren Borden with you down the boundary. Bowie straight down the middle of Petrarca. It all opens up in front of him.
Wow.
He kicks from Mitch Brown straight in the middle of the ground. A laser pass.
That was a great kick.
As he marks in front of Rampy. Gives it back to Petrarca. Second involvement. Long kick looking for Viney inside 50. Spoiled away by Florent. Got good support in the end, although the tackle on Gordon from Viney was good. Ball spills clear. Inside 50 for the Demons, but Blakey picks it off. Hand pass to Tom McCartan.
Back.
High up and under kick. Mitch Brown's underneath it. Can't take the mark. Langdon slides in. A push. And Mitch Brown will take it at right half forward. 2 kicks out from goal.
Brayshaw to his left saying slow it down. Looking to get numbers inside 50 here, the D's. Even things up as the Swans had numbers. Paddy McCartan, big fist over the top. And he'll find the boundary line. Good defensive spoil, that one. So a ball in to take place. Right forward pocket here for the D's. They've got 3 in this opening term. Sydney yet to find a major. Plenty of numbers around this contest. Jackson v Reid in the ruck. Jackson assumes front position, almost grabbed it in the end. Langdon, dinky little kick, almost worked out to Fritsch. Bounced these bootlaces, and spinning away from that contest was Rowbottom. Off the side of the boot, it pitches at right angles and goes out of bounds. And this will be deliberate, you think?
No way. It's a missed kick.
It's a skill error.
That's all it was.
Yeah, there wasn't anyone within 30 metres of where it bounced.
Still a skill error.
Yeah, that's the problem. So the umpire, they just go over the roar of the crowd. Good on you.
Bowie, inside 50. High kick. Paddy McCartan again, safe hands. Takes the mark, backing back into the pack. Option short is Fox. Instead, he's going to go long. This will hug the boundary line. Petty from 3 deep against Heaney in that contest. No mark taken. A good strong tackle by Hayward, allowing Bowie to go nowhere on that occasion. In fact, it's Jordan who gets to his feet. So a ball up to take place. Left half forward here for the D's.
We'll head down to Lauren Borden in a moment. We saw Colin O'Riordan taken high in that first quarter. As to whether he's on the bench or the Swans might be looking to make their sub. Gawn takes it out of the ruck, kicks Melbourne towards half forward. Pickett did well against Paddy McCartan, but he did give away the free kick. Lauren Borden on the boundary. Any sign of Colin O'Riordan?
No, so O'Riordan's actually off, so a very early change by the Swans here. Ronk's come on, so a very early sub Sydney's had to make at the moment. Is Ronk coming on very early for concussion O'Riordan.
Thanks, Lauren. So Colin O'Riordan out of the match and Ben Ronk, the sub, about to come into it. So Melbourne leading by 14 points. The medical sub for the D's. No surprise, Toby Bedford, who's done that role consistently throughout 2022. Probably not much fun, but when you are in a dominant side, it's probably a bit sweeter.
Where's a vest to bed?
Mills has it for the Swans. Kicks towards Laddams in the pack, and Marty there as well. Parker tries to shovel out a hand pass to Wicks against the boundary. He's eventually taken across by Alex Neil-Bullen.
That's pretty funny by you, Maisie. It's not often I compliment you.
Ramos tipping his cap to you, Maisie. Take that as a win tonight.
I'm done. Ball to be tossed in. Right half forward here for the Swans. Viney reads it well, backing into traffic, and they're not being tackled at all. Able to back out of the contest was Neil Bullen, fled it out wide by foot, and that's as deliberate as you'll get by Rampy. Oh, he was very lucky there. The umpire a little forgiving, as there wasn't a lot of pressure from behind as he marched that over the boundary line and out of bounds. Forward of centre wing, the ball in to take place. Spinning back into play, Gawn. Now Jordan, he's crunched in a tackle, going nowhere. Ball to be tossed up on the wing.
Just watching this Rowbottom Clayton Oliver clash at the moment. Oliver's only had the 3 possessions, probably coming up for his 4th here.
Yeah,
5th.
Couple of quick hand passes there to James Jordan. He kicks towards half forward. Viney taken high by Paddy McCartan.
What a great mark.
Jack Viney able to hang on to the mark, and he gets to his feet straight away. Chip off the old block like his old man Todd. Kicks inside 50, Gawn's on the lead, it's just over his head, and Latham spoils it to the boundary. Cozzy slaps it in back to play to Petrarca, half pass to Ben Brown, back-to-back scored, the ruckman on the right. That is Melbourne 2022. Big men shouldn't be able to do that, and everyone in Melbourne's forward 50 gets to Cozzy Pickett, who for the second time in this quarter has created something out of nothing. That's what the good sides do. Richmond in their premiership era They just make things happen. Melbourne by 20 points, 4-1-25 to Sydney, 5 behind Adam Ramanauskas.
It's just non-stat sheet stuff. Like you can't. It doesn't go
He's
down.
a special player, this kid.
He's very special.
Yeah.
It's just he's got that unselfishness about him where he loves helping his teammates. And at the end of the game, it might only say 7 or 8 possessions, but that's very special to be able to do that, to have the presence of mind. A lot of other people would have just taken that over the boundary line for a throw in and start again, but because he's got the nous just to think, okay, let's tap this back in, let's try to keep the ball going our way. And a terrific handball by Brown and finished by Gawn.
Gone out of the ruck this time as well. Was able to take it, hand it to Viney, kick towards half forward. Nice chest mark. Mitch Brown this time, and Paddy McCartan slow to get to his feet. He'll stand the mark at 51 metres. Brown goes out wide this time. Fritsch on a long lead takes the mark. Lovely kick into space into the left forward pocket, and Fritsch will now line up from about 40 out.
This kid gets under your guard too, doesn't he? Sometimes. Actually, his scoring ability is enormous, and he gets some speed about him, and he's actually tall. He's probably 185 or 189 or something like that. He's a big boy, and gee whiz, he scores.
188.
188. It wasn't far
taller
off.
than you think, yeah.
Yeah.
Bailey Fritsch to line up from just inside 50 on his approach. His kick is shaping back towards the middle, and he's got it. The D's have 5 opening quarter goals. The margin 26 points. 26 minutes played in the opening term on Grandstand AFL.
And they have 5 different goal kickers is the other point too. And what they do is, and when you watch the actual game, what they do is when the ball comes into their defence area, they kill it. That's their big point, is they kill it over the line, they push it over the point post, and they don't allow those little short kicks that Melbourne have been doing. They just cut them off, and their defensive area has been enormous, and that's what's made them a really good side. That's how you win a premiership, with a good defence, and they've got that. But then when they go forward, they've got some dangerous players. You got kids like Petrarca, Luke Jackson who got one, Gawn's got one, 2 ruckmen have picked up goals. You got Langdon, the wingman, you got Jordan, the other wingman, and then you got Bailey Fritsch, who's different again as a half-forward flanker.
5 scores apiece in the last 10 opportunities. Melbourne have kicked 5 goals. Sydney have kicked 5 behinds. In the middle, Warner gets the clearance, breaks away from the Petrarca tackle, long towards Reid. He takes the mark against Tomlinson, just not paid. I thought he had a lot of that, and eventually the non-officiating umpires come in and said, yep, that was a mark.
Well, it's a mark or a free kick. Like, Tomlinson had his arms wrapped around Sam Reid, so he's still...
Just as Jake Lever was about to kick out of defence, the whistle did come, much to the relief of Sam Reid, who thought he'd done enough.
Got to nail this.
Had an early sider, needs to kick this, must kick it. Sam Reid comes in, and Sydney have their first goal at the 28-minute mark of the opening term. Just before quarter time, the Swans finally have a goal for all their hard work. It's Melbourne 5-1-31 to the Swans 1-5-11. On ABC Sport, you with Adam Ramanauskas and Mark McClure.
And look, like I said, he deserved a free kick at the bare minimum there, but they paid the mark in the end. But I'm just watching this matchup still with Rowbottom and Oliver. It's a traditional old tag where Rowbottom is going everywhere that Oliver's going. Oliver's up to 5 possessions, but only 1 kick and 4 ball sellers. So, he's been in sparkling form, Clayton Oliver, but they're definitely going after Oliver with Rowbottom tonight.
And Viney's had 10, so he's off the hook. That's the difference.
Minutes playing this first term, awkward bounce. Gawn just slaps it out of there all the way to centre half forward. He's going to cop a free kick back in the middle, so plenty of players had rushed forward, but it will come all the way back to the centre circles. Gawn to take it, and he can pump this long inside 50. Runs around, then a very high kick. It'll land about 30 out directly in front. Ben Brown sets himself, couldn't get there. Now a chance for Spargo front and centre. He's taken immediately. Ball going nowhere. Ball to be tossed up 30 out directly in front.
5 goals to 1 in this opening term. A push in the chest. The umpire is still throwing it up. Spargo and Florent. Ben Brown tries to take it out of the ruck, couldn't get a disposal away. Spargo had an arm pinned by Warner and dropped the footy. And Sydney will take it 35 metres out from their defensive goal. I swear it was Warner who laid the tackle, but Rowbottom will have the free kick.
Rowbottom out wide, kick lack penetration, straight onto the chest of Langdon, who's 60 out. He can go inside 50, short pass. Petrarca almost. Lovely tracking back there by Mills. Just got Blakey got the left fist in there and killed the contest. Out of bounds, 45 from the D's goal.
Thought they might use this guy in the forward line at some stage.
Toss back into play. And clearance comes Sydney's way. Enough to halt the D's momentum for the last 5 seconds there and hold out for a pretty good quarter from the D's. 5-1-31. Sydney 1-5-11. They were wasteful with their chances. Sam Reid, their only goal kicker for the D's. Singles to Jackson, Gawn, Langdon, Jordan and Fritsch.
The Demons by 20 points at the MCG for Saturday night footy. Earlier it was Adelaide by 31 points against the West Coast Eagles. Shane McAdam with 3 goals. Taylor Walker got the 3 votes in the ABC Football of the Year. And the Gold Coast Suns by 62 points over North Melbourne, including 13 individual goal kickers for the Swans. Toot Miller in his 150th game getting the 3 votes in the ABC Football of the Year. That's 10 consecutive losses for North Melbourne. It's all unfolding on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, ABC News Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
ABC Sport now has its very own newsletter, and we'd be pumped to have you on board.
We'll provide a wrap of all the best stuff that's happening in sport every week.
Simply go to abc.net.au/connect
and get ready for a sport hit in your inbox every Friday.
Get on board with the ABC of Sport newsletter
for content that makes you think
or allows you not to.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL
on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Pickett onto things quickly for the D's. Hand pass is good too, and Jordan puts it through from 50.
As Gawn sends it long to half forward, no mark claim. Christian Petrarca onto it on 50, squares the ball beautifully and finds Eng Langdon back into the Melbourne side, and a chance to shoot from directly in front, 45 metres out. The chance for the opening 2 goals for the D's. He comes in, strikes it pretty well, and steers it through.
Neil Borland, who put Pickett under all sorts of pressure. He got out in 3 tackles and flared it wide as well. Spargo set a task, shepherded beautifully, allowed Viney into it, and he can go over the top inside 50, and he finds Jackson left forward pocket. Missed one opportunity, and this time the snap, and he delivers.
Kicks inside 50, Gawn's on the lead, it's just over his head, and Latham scores it to the boundary. Cozzy slaps it in back to play to Petrarca, hand pass to Ben Brown, back-to-back score, the ruckman on the right. That is Melbourne 2022. Big men shouldn't be able to do that.
Bailey Fritsch to line up from just inside 50 on his approach. His kick is shaping back towards the middle, and he's got it. The D's have 5 opening quarter goals.
Out an early sider, needs to kick this, must kick it. Sam Reid comes in, and Sydney have their first goal at the 28-minute mark of the opening term.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season
on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Great to have your company for Saturday night footy. The Demons leading by 20 points at quarter time of the MCG. 5-1-31 to the Swans 1-5-11. The Demons kicked the opening 5 goals of the match. The Swans had their opportunities with 4 behinds early but couldn't capitalise, and they've had to make their sub with Ben Ronk into the action. Colin O'Riordan out with concussion, having been struck early in a marking contest in the first term. Toby Bedford is the sub for the Demons. Matt Klitsch and Andrew Mays call the action. Lauren Borden down on the boundary. The thoughts of Adam Romanaskas and Mark McClure, your experts.
Well, Sydney only had 68 possessions in that quarter, and that's not going to be enough against Melbourne. Now, the problem with those 68 possessions, 25 of those were mark sellers. So what I did notice a lot in that quarter is Sydney had a reluctance to want to move the ball quickly. On the occasions when they did move the ball quickly, they were able to get some hit-ups inside their forward 50. So, one, they need to get their hands on the ball more. I think that's an absolute given in this second quarter for the Swans. But 2, they've got to take risk. I think they've got to roll and they've got to move the ball. So Ronk comes into the game, O'Riordan gets subbed out. Ronk's another small forward. So you've got Papley, you've got Wicks, you've got now Ben Ronk in their forward line as those smaller type forwards. Get the ball in. put some pressure on Melbourne's defence. The D's, on the other hand, they just took their chances in that quarter. You look at their inside 50s; they've had 14 inside 50s for 6 scoring shots.
Yeah, but 12 to the other side. 12.
Yeah, to 12. So they've made the most of their opportunities. What I love about Melbourne is when they're out, they actually use the ball really well.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily a kick to space team, they're a kick to position team. And then when you always look up the ground, there's always somebody coming at the ball, or there's always somebody working into that space where the ball is going to go.
I'll tell you why, because they know they're going to get it. That's the point. And they're organised. They're such an organised defence and an organised midfield. The midfield was absolutely superb that quarter. You got Viney with 10, 9, Petrarca, Salem, Ed Langdon, Jordan, Gawn, Oliver. They're all on the sheet with lots of numbers around them. And you go to the other side, and the most numbers is 6.
Yeah.
There's a winger, Nick Blakey. So to me, I go, hang on a second, this is ridiculous numbers. You know, they're just flogging them in that area. There's times in a game where you've got to sit down and say to them at quarter time, we must win this quarter. And Sydney need to do it this quarter.
How important are guys like Cozzy Pickett, who had 2 disposals involved,
unbelievably.
2 goals to set the tone for the unselfish nature when you're a successful team.
I thought he was critical that quarter, just with those couple of touches. I look now, already down there. They started Heaney at full forward in that first quarter. Heaney's coming up onto a wing now, to win the ball. The other part too, only 68 possessions, but Melbourne had 400 metres plus gained.
That's exactly right. But this is why
the territory battle against Melbourne, you have to win, and Sydney got flogged in that quarter with it.
That's why this quarter is so important to them. If they get bowled over again, she's done.
We did see against Carlton a few weeks ago, they started slowly and worked their way back into the match after half-time. The other thing we failed to mention, because we were on right at the start, is the Swans are wearing the old South Melbourne jumper, and it does look superb. They had their Hall of Fame in Melbourne during the week. They trained on the MCG. Good to see Paul Kelly there watching them train at the MCG on Friday afternoon, and just seeing the Australian women's captain, Meg Lanning, being interviewed with an old Swans jumper scarf around her neck. So they've recruited one of the good ones to join the Swans brigade tonight. Melbourne by 20 points as we head into the second quarter. Laddams up against Jackson. Laddams one down the tap, but straight to Sparrow of Melbourne. It kicks towards half forward. Harms is able to gather, fends off a tackler, sends it long to Gawn to the goal mouth. He's got it. He's hard to stop in a one-on-one battle. At full stretch, and Tom McCartan could do nothing as Big Max was able to clunk it.
Well, he could do nothing because what Ben Brown did was so unselfish. He knew that Harms wasn't going to kick it to him, but he still let out and made Rampy come with him. So then Rampy couldn't get back into that contest to help McCartan to come in with the spoil. Just those little unselfish things that Melbourne do.
Very true.
A snap in the right forward pocket in the first quarter. Now a much more traditional set shot for Max Gawn. The Melbourne skipper. Gawn comes in. He's taking it to the max. He's got 2 in the opening 2 quarters. Inside a minute of the second term. And Melbourne lead all of a sudden by 26 points again. 6-1-37 to the Swans 1-5-11. Max Gawn, the first multiple goal scorer of the night.
Well, the D's are going for the kill here. They had a clearance in the middle of the ground straight away after kicking 5 goals to 1 goal in the first quarter. They have them on toast now. They can't touch them. And then all of a sudden you can see Harms picked up on the left. And what you said about Brown coming out and leaving space for Gawn, who's too big for McCartan, too strong, and seriously an awesome player for this footy club. So all of a sudden they've taken away again. So how do you feel as a Sydney player now? Not very good.
26 points the margin. Opening stages of this second term. D's well and truly in command here at the MCG. Jackson this time didn't leap. Laddams over the top, to straight to Jackson, who went and fetched it. Hand pass over the top. Petrarca couldn't pick up first time. Towed it off the ground a second time. Got it to centre half forward. Turned over though.
Here we go.
The hand pass is a little awkward, and now Pickett's onto it. Hand pass to Jordan, who works the 1-2 with Oliver, and then kicks high into the forward pocket. Gawn sets himself again almost. Punched away from Big Max in the forward pocket. Now for a boundary throw in. D's again deep inside 50.
2 minutes in, 2 inside 50s.
The Swans have their work cut out in front of them to try and climb their way back into this match. Thrown back in, Laddams and Gawn. Gawn tries to swat it to the back to Petrarca, but Mills is there. Hand pass to Rowbottom. Spirals a kick to half back. Jackson and Amati in a wrestle, a hole.
No, he got held, Jackson.
And it's going the way of Luke Jackson. Amati throws his head back, but carefully didn't put his arms out. And Luke Jackson has it on the members' wing. Melbourne by 26 points. Jackson looks towards Gawn, sends it in that direction. Ben Brown's there as well. Gawn almost grabbed it on the second bite. A few hands were involved though. Oliver through traffic, squeeze to kick the Cosy Pickett, looking for Ben Brown on the bounce. Gathers, tackled by Rampy, good effort. And the umpires deemed he had prior opportunity in holding the ball. Quick whistle. And the Swans will take it back in the left back pocket.
And he's got to go back and fetch it. 50-metre pass to Rampy, back inside his defensive 50. So Rampy on that left boot. Long towards the wing. Marty over the top. Good fly. Laddams in front. Ends up with the ball. Didn't know what to do with it. Nice dummy as well, just to buy himself a bit of time. Gave it to Heaney by hand off his left boot. Up towards Papley, and Hunt able to create a pretty easy spoil there. Fist over the top and finds the boundary line. Left half forward for the Swans.
They just do the basics well. Come towards the boundary, bloke's going to mark it, just push it towards the line. We start again. And you watch it over and over and over again for the 100 minutes. They're very, very good, the D's.
Jackson playing this one from behind. And Heaney's onto it as well. High left foot floater inside 50. McDonald didn't get a run at it. Marty, lovely work at ground level to Papley. Got out of 2 tackles. Went the snap. High to the top of the square. No one took the mark. McDonald got a hand in there. Sparrow for the D's. Knocked it to the advantage of Langdon. Now Harms works the 1-2 with Brayshaw. Sold him into trouble. Had to give it back to Brayshaw. And around the boundary. Lovely left foot pass. Neil Bullen on the end of it. Now they can take their time, the D's, as they work this out of defence.
Able to absorb so much pressure as Neil Bullen back inside the defensive 50. Christian Salem takes the mark. He kick hang for Petty a while. Amadi in from the side, spoils it down. Reid can't take it cleanly. Tomlinson now comes in for Melbourne. He's tackled and dispossessed, holding the footy. What? And Sydney will get a shot on goal here on a 45-degree angle from 40 metres out. Either holding the ball or a throw. He gestured holding the ball.
Petty's hurt himself too.
Well, Reid was walking into the forward pocket.
It was a throw.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
There's $1 million a game.
So Sam Reid will have a shot on goal in the left forward pocket, having nailed Sydney's first goal in the opening term late there. An equally important shot on goal here. Perennially had his challenges with his body, but when he's up and firing, he's good to watch. And Sam Reid steers through his second. And Sydney bounced back after the Max Gawn goal at the other end. 5 minutes gone, second term. Melbourne by 20 points. 6-1-37 to the Swans, 2-5-17 on ABC Sport. You with Adam Ramanauskas and Mark McClure.
Well, you give that goal to Joel Amati. He's the one that made up the ground to affect the spoil against Harrison Petty. So Salem's kick sat up in the air, tried to kick across goal, to switch the play, and it's hurt. And in that contest, it's hurt Petty.
He's coming
Lauren will be all over this, but looks like that right shoulder he's carrying that, so it looks pretty sore after that contest with Amati. But it was terrific by Amati. Made up 20 metres to spoil that, bring the ball to ground, and then Reid was able to come in and effect the tackle against Tomlinson.
He's a big boy, Amati.
Yeah. Back in the middle. Much needed goal there for the Swans. Adams wins it out to Parker. Parker, defensive side of the circles, goes high and long. This will land at the top of 50. Brayshaw going back with a flight. Punched away from him all the way up to the wing. And now just having a fumble at the vital moment was Petrarca. Socked forward though. Paddy McCartan's got a bit of work to do. Loses his footing. Dees trying to get onto it, although McCartan did well enough to get it to Warner. Now to McInerney. Hand past the centre half back. Oh, Lloyd turned it over by hand. Was too slow. Now Gawn has a player out here at Spargo. Bounces. Had to absorb the tackle. Went back by hand to Harms. Chips into the forward pocket. His teammate Fritsch slipped over, and that was a little too easy for Fox, who takes it in the left back pocket.
Yeah, and it was a little too unselfish by Harms. He had space in front of him to take it on, kick the goal.
Robbie Fox in his second game of the season found Florin at halfback, who hit the ground running. Kicks now up towards McDonald. He takes the mark centre of the southern wing. Robbie Fox in just his second game of the season has the job on Bailey Fritsch tonight. The Swans through McDonald, chips it to right half forward, and the mark is taken by Wicks. He can work it to McInerney around the boundary line. He's still a good 2 kicks out from goal though at the punt road end. Looks into the pocket, looking for potentially Reid, but backpedaling. Logan McDonald takes the mark.
That was a really good kick, really smart kick. Just saw, because McDonald took the mark on centre wing, then continued to push down inside forward 50. and really didn't have an opponent. So it's a really smart kick by McInerney.
You saw a little glimpse into the future as to what he could be against the Blues. Kicked 3 goals in a dominant display alongside Lance Franklin. The future on display right here in the forward 50 for the Sydney Swans. The Western Australian Logan McDonald comes in. Great kick off the boot. And in front of a good crowd of South Melbourne Sydney fans, he steers it straight through the middle. And the Swans put 2 on the trot for the first time in the match to cut the deficit back to 14 points Melbourne's way. The Demons 6-1-37 to Sydney 3-5-23. 8 minutes gone, second term on ABC Sport.
A little fight back from Sydney. That's what we wanted to see. You can't stay in this game if you're going to be 5 goals behind and then go and go further ahead with the opposition. Keep going over the top of you. Logan McDonald is a really good young kid. He's a star, and to me, in the future, and now he's got his chance to shine without Buddy Franklin there, and he showed a little bit there. I liked Warner's play where he shepherded him out with a little help from one of his mates as well, so to finish that off. But Logan McDonald to finish that, well done.
Downstairs, Lauren Borden.
Harrison Petty went straight down into the Melbourne rooms. He came into the game with heavy knee strapping, then got some strapping around his shin as well in the first quarter. So he's had a bit of troubles and faces another setback at the moment.
Melbourne looking to win this clearance through Oliver. He has to bend down and pick it up. Wrenches it from a couple of Swans. Lost possession of the footy though. Rowbottom, a left foot snap inside 50. Reid couldn't get separation on Tomlinson.
Tackle.
Turned the tackle, locked it in. Lovely forward pressure from your key attacker. And it'll be a ball up 30 metres out directly in front.
Better.
It's a different approach, isn't it?
Having
now?
a good little couple of moments here, the Swans.
Yep, absolutely.
Tossed up, Laddams doing the ruck work from behind. He was looking for the run of Papley. He had to turn tackler as well. Just got his opponent Bowie a little too high, and Papley put his hands up to his face rather than out, so as to not concede the 50. And Bowie to take it in the right back pocket.
Bowie long towards Max Gawn in the pack. Laddams works his underneath. Cosy Pickett front and centre. Such good pickup. Hand pass to Neil Bullen. Caught flat-footed. Gone. Parker lays the tackle.
You won't get away from Luke Parker.
No. And Sydney's intent has certainly lifted in this second quarter.
Yeah, they've changed a little bit.
All of a sudden, the inside 50 starting to go their way. Parker long inside 50. Heaney in from the side. He pinched it from Max Gawn. No, not paid. Heaney with a hand pass to the stationary Laddams. He snaps high over on his shoulder with his left boot. Have a go at that. Brayshaw's the only one who flies in the end. Papley stayed down low. And it's spoiled out of play for a boundary throw in. I thought Heaney did enough to almost be paid it, but I think Gawn did have a bit of
first hands.
Yeah. Sense of theatre, come on. It's a good mark against a ruckman.
Love the call, Clinchy, but you're wrong.
Maybe.
Points the margin.
I hear that plenty.
Papley hits
Every day.
that contest hard and got low as well. Neil Bullen had his legs taken out. Hand pass comes the way of Sparrow. Bouncing ball, he gathers it as well. Ben Brown's out here on the wing, just got a bit of separation, and he takes the mark a metre inside the boundary. So Ben Brown
Take your time, Ben.
looking for a way up forward. He hits the top of 50. Goes to Mitch Brown, spoiled away from him. Rowbottom, front and centre. Roved it nicely, but he was grabbed immediately. Ball going nowhere. Ball up to take place. Right half forward for the D's.
Melbourne by 14 points. They got out by as much as 26 points late in the first and early in the second. Goulden from the ball up. Great smother. Jack Viney trying to run back onto it. Mills over the top of the footy. Cozzy over the top of him. Trying to knock it clear. Callum Mills with another go. Hand passes it out in front of Paddy McCartney. Slides in. Sparrow over the top. I'm not sure he's showing enough intent to knock it out. And the umpire plays holding the footy. Paddy McCartney take it. In fact, it's Mills who will take it inside the defensive 50 for Sydney.
Mills wants to go very short. Call to play on was Parker. Just got his boot to ball. It pitches inside. Goulden did well enough. Attacked the ball hard as well. Tracking back inside his defensive 50. Hand pass to Mills. Viney up early. Gawn came through, and Viney gave away the free kick. Parker to receive it. Left half back for the Swans. Can they get something going from here?
Well, they've got to move it quick. Can't wait against Melbourne.
Parker looks towards Logan McDonald. He flies against the lever. Almost took the mark at ground level. First onto it. Hand pass to Rowbottom. Long kick inside 50. 2-on-2. Reed's there. He's got it. Great mark off balance against Adam Tomlinson. And Sam Reid all of a sudden is looming as having an important night.
two big boys. Logan McDonald took the mark on the wing and then banged it straight into Reid in the front there. And he's a handful, Reid. He's 6'6". He can run, he can move, and he's on his way to his third goal.
He's in his 13th season, so one of the few players still in the Sydney lineup, part of the 2012 Premiership. Sam Reid comes in directly in front, 30 metres out, and he kicks his third. All of a sudden, Sydney with the last 3 goals of the match, and it's back to an 8-point ball game. Melbourne 6-1-37, Sydney 4-5-29. We played 13 minutes in the second term on ABC Sport.
He's in his 13th season.
Yep.
I still feel like he's a developing player.
Oh, come on, Rammer. I feel like he's been around forever. He's 30.
You're right, yeah, it is. His 13th season, but he's having a really good half of football here. He's 3 goals, and then McDonald's the other goal kicker for Sydney. But I love McDonald here, just in front of us on centre wing.
Fantastic.
He spilt the mark, but then he's back straight onto the ball. And you love that from a big man when they're never out of the contest. You're always aware of where the ball is. And that was a terrific contested mark by Sam Reid inside 450, Sellers.
Yeah, he's doing a bit of work in the ruck against Jackson. Jackson athletically won it down. Reid at ground level. Did enough to spoil harms. Now it floats back to Jackson, who's lying on it, pulled it in, and just got it out in time. Viney a hand pass, although it's a turnover. Goulden tried to shrug a tackle to Mills by hand, now to Warner. Off one step, high kick to half forward. Hayward didn't know whether to go. He just paused on his run, and now they're able to work this out. The D's through hand, but a little awkward from Salem to Jackson, who turns it over.
Never handball to a ruckman.
Well done.
Kick over the top is good, and Heaney takes the mark.
That was Wicks inside forward 50 there, Maisie.
Actually, their midfield must have got a nice burst at half-time. They got flogged in the first quarter, and all of a sudden you see a rampaging midfield starting to work hard.
Well, they've ramped up their pressure.
Absolutely.
When Melbourne are now winning the ball through the middle of the ground, as Sydney players right in their face, making Melbourne players make quick decisions.
13 minutes ago, the margin was 26 points. This to bring it back to just 2. Heaney from 45 out misses. Didn't be better well at all. One behind. 4-5-29, 4-6-30 rather, the Swans. 6-1-37 the D's. 7 points of margin, 15 played second quarter.
Christian Salem looking at options as he brings Melbourne back into play from the punt road end. Drives a long kick out of defence. Ben Brown and Jackson in the back. Comes to the front. Petrarca onto it. Hand pass picked off by Rampy. Breaks the Viney tackle. Dribbles a kick to Weeks. Brilliant pickup on 50. Turns one way then the other. Kicks inside 50. McDonald. Lunging to his right. He's claimed the mark. Directly in front. 35 metres out from goal. The Swans play inspired footy.
Yeah, and look, it's another turnover on a kick in there for Melbourne, but This is the issue with Melbourne's defence. They love laying off. So McDonald, it's just a scrappy kick inside forward 50 by Wicks. But McDonald's direct opponent in lever is behind him a metre or two, thinking the ball's going to go over the top. Ball drops short. McDonald's onto it, takes a mark directly in front.
The young Western Australian with 1 goal already tonight to pull the Swans back within a point. He liked it before it went straight over the goal umpire's hat. And Sydney are red hot at the moment. All of a sudden, they've kicked 4 goals on the trot. And having trailed by 26 points after Max Gawn kicked the first goal of the second quarter, they now trail by just 1. 5-6-36 to the Demons, 6-1-37. 16 minutes gone, second term on ABC Sport.
A false sense of security Melbourne had coming into the second quarter. They kicked the first goal with Max Gawn, and then all of a sudden they get smacked in the midfield. The pressure ramps up. They think they're going okay, and they're not. Yeah. They're done. They're in trouble. And this is what we wanted to see Sydney come up with. And Logan McDonald, to me, he's starting to look like a really good, strong young player.
And Sellers, to back you up, talking about that pressure, contested football 24-15 in Sydney's favour, and tackling in this quarter 14-5 in Sydney's favour.
Yeah, Melbourne drop off every now and then, and that's the problem.
Reid in the middle again, won it down to Mills. He's mobbed immediately. Ball going nowhere. Another stoppage to take place inside the centre circles. Tossed up pretty quickly. Hand pass from Viney. Finds Jordan, and then a hand pass to Salem. Long high kick inside 50. Spoiled away, no mark taken. Getting on his bike pretty nicely there was Goulden, and then he becomes the tackler. Tries to force his opponent out. Umpire's going to call holding the ball here, I reckon. No, it's not. He paused for a long moment. Goulden was nervous. Neil Bullen was nervous. They both got to their feet. It'll be a stoppage at right half forward. How much of an effect too is Petty going off having here as well, with the key forward starting to dominate?
Yeah, maybe because he's another tall defender.
Gone down to Oliver, the hand pass to Viney, got it to Bowie, to Jordan under pressure, pushed in the back by Wicks as he got his kick away, so it'll come back to where the kick took place. Lauren Borden on the boundary.
Well, Petty's actually just walked straight onto the field. That's how important they wanted them. Melbourne wants him back on the field. He walked straight out of the rooms and got sent straight on the field.
With no Stephen May tonight, playing a pivotal role. Kick towards Max Gawn, and Chad Warner just put himself in front. Takes an important contested mark in front of Melbourne's big ruck. 35 metres out from his defensive goal. Kicks to Mills, who takes it in front of Rowbottom.
Mills' short kick is intercepted. Fist in there by Jordan. Big tackle from Salem on Reid as well. Turnover ball. The Dees can go inside 50.
Pretty important player, this Salem. Good ball mover.
Salem started his approach on the logo, runs inboard, high kick inside 50, no mark taken. Langdon onto it quickly, hand pass out the back, or it bounced awkwardly for Brayshaw. He had to become the tackler in the end. Florent going nowhere, and a stoppage to take place at the top of attacking 50. 19 played, second term, a point the margin. Dees kicked 5 in the opening term, but it's been 4 goals in a row to put the Swans back in this one.
Gone down to Neil Bullen. His kick is across the face of goal, and it goes out of play in the right forward pocket in front of Tom McCartan and Ben Brown. So Melbourne will have a stoppage opportunity here inside their attacking 50 at the city end. The D's by a point. Sydney kicked 1-5 in the opening term. They've kicked 4 goals, 4 goals in the last 11 minutes. From the throw-in, it comes down to Petrarca. He's kicked to the goal mouth, couldn't clear Rampy, who kicks long to the defensive 50. Lever came charging out, put down Papley, and now he's got a problem. He's tackled, but the umpire says he had no prior opportunities. He and Wicks both had a good piece of the footy by the end.
Yeah, he copped a beautiful elbow straight in the face by Lever, purely accidental.
Lovely tap there by Jackson down to Petrarca. He turned it over by hand though. Swans through Lloyd, keeps it in. Now a chance for Jordan. Kick inside 50 was okay, but punched away from Petrarca by Blakey over the top. Ball in to take place. Inside attacking 50 for the D's. Just halting the momentum of Sydney, who've kicked 5 of the last 6 goals of this one.
Clearance is 18-10. 18-10 this quarter.
Jackson and Reid. Jackson fell on Reid. Ball comes free though to Mills. Hand pass to Warner off a step. It's a 2-on-1. If Brayshaw could get there, he couldn't. And Hayward takes a great mark in a 1-on-1 against Langdon. He goes to right half back. And they can go quickly here, the Swans, if they want to. Umpire calls Goulden to play on. He goes wide to the wing. Mark taken by Florence. And Florent will take the kick underneath the Shane Warne stand.
Looks to kick towards a congested half-forward line. Laddams is there. Amati almost claimed the mark. Tomlinson did enough to work him off it. Papley almost pinched it, but Oliver grabs it for Melbourne. Screws it over his shoulder towards the wing. Mitch Brown crashes the pack. Bounces in front of Wicks and Gawn. Neither can take it. And now a chance for Mills. Tries to knock it clear. There's a throw. And it's going to be a Sydney free kick. The throw, I think, was against Cozzy Pickett. And Nick Blakey's going to take it just short of right half forward. Wants to kick into the middle of the ground where Tom McCartan's free. Marks at the edge of the centre square. Now kicks inside 50. Who's looking for Reid? It was out in front of him. He'll get a free kick for a hold. Salem in the mismatch in the high battle. And how about the kick from Tom McCartan? Just said to Sam Reid, lead to the left pocket. I'll put it out in front of you.
You're spot on.
He snuck down the wing here.
But he made him come at the ball, which is a really smart kick by McCartan.
Sam Reid looking for his 4th goal. 25 metres out. Snaps on the right. It's curling. It hits the right goalpost. Across the face. Just a bit too much on it. And it draws scores level at 37 apiece. Sydney with 4-2 in this second quarter to Melbourne's 1 straight.
Brayshaw into the back pocket, he runs and then pauses. He goes short instead of long and hits Salem, still inside the left back pocket. Salem runs the boundary line, then a long kick. McCartan and Jackson, neither won it. Rampy, his kick was smothered. Good fist forward. Lovely hand pass by Rowbottom to Wicks, who has a flying shot at goal. Not quite coming back enough, and Ben Rock gives him a serve, who was 30 out directly in front on his own. 22 played second quarter. Sydney have the lead by a point for the first time tonight.
First lead change after Melbourne got out by as much as 26. Brayshaw long out of defence, but only as far as Callum Mills. Great flying contested mark at halfback. Quickly gives the hand pass to Gordon. Kicks Sydney into attack. Reed's there. Hayward. Did he juggle it? It was touched. Umpire calls play on. Bowie with the tackle. Gets the hand pass to Papley. Not sure he got a clean hand pass away. Holding the footy, and Melbourne take the advantage. Spargo out of defence. Up to Mitch Brown, who marks on his chest on the members' wing.
He takes his time.
They've been put under pressure, haven't they, Melbourne?
Had Spargo short, who kept on running, and that's where he goes, laterally. Spargo runs through right half back, looking for the lead of Ben Brown. Didn't crash the pack. Jackson in front athletically. Tries to break free of Tom McCartan. Didn't really dispose of it properly. Rowbottom came in and he's mobbed immediately. Neil Bullen with a strong tackle. Gets to his feet, hands the ball back to the umpire. Ball up right half forward for the D's.
Swans leading by a point. Laddams and Jackson tangle. Jackson knocks it down to Petrarca, spinning through traffic straight into wrong. Hand pass to Neil Bullen, works it to Jordan, retreating back to Salem on the wing. Back to Jordan, hard against the boundary. Good pressure from Sydney. Kicks inside 50. Max Gawn's there, almost juggled the mark. Oliver front and centre, kick partially smothered. Pickett again once more. Hand pass to Spargo, squaring ball for Mitch Brown. Punched away. Great work from the Sydney defence. Cozzy still looming.
Going.
Can't gather it. Ed Langdon slides in. He's bumped off it by Warner. Hand pass to Gawn, outside 50 now for Melbourne, and Warner gathers. He's got no one further afield. He puts it towards Papley one-on-one. Got his body pushed away. Hunt gathered the footy. Vacant goal mouth. It's all in the kick, and Papley bounces it through. The boy from Bunyip with his best celebrations when he's one-on-one, and Tom Papley was able to back himself in and turn it into a goal, and Sydney are in front by 7 points. 6-8-44 to Melbourne 6-1-37.
Well, Sellers, if there's a passage of play to beat Melbourne, that was it.
Speed.
Because they applied enormous pressure to Melbourne inside their forward 50. They didn't allow Melbourne a breath inside their forward 50. It was tackle, it was punch, it was spoil, it was knock on. And then they finally got out. They finally were able to win the ball. And it was terrific by Warner because he had the composure to take an extra step. Great mark by Papley.
Oh, huge.
Great mark by Papley, but it's back in their defensive 50 with the pressure and then the speed of transitioning the ball outside their defensive 50 that creates that goal.
They saw it against Fremantle.
26 points down a minute into this second term. They're now 7 up, Sydney. This has been the turnaround. Laddams with the clearance from the middle. They're going forward again, the Swans. High kick inside 50. Amati over his head, and Tomlinson takes the defensive mark.
Jeez, they needed that mark, Melbourne.
Yeah, take a breath.
Just to try slow things.
Take a breath, Melbourne fans, if you're listening from home as well.
Oh.
Long kick, Blakey flew. Couldn't complete the mark. Jackson gets down low.
Oh,
He's tackled strongly as well by Rowbottom. Didn't dispose of it properly. Another free kick here for the Swans. They are applying enormous pressure in this second term.
So Rowbottom has it in front of this Sydney bench. They'll be happy with what they've seen in this term. The Swans by 7 points. Rowbottom long to the pack. Amati's there. Max Gawn flies in front. Can't take the mark. Tomlinson with a hand pass to Petty. Screws it around his body. Blakey dropped the mark. There was a push. And it's going Melbourne's way. James Harms is in that pack. He was shoved out by Rowbottom. Now Blakey was in the protected zone. That could have been 50. Melbourne fans thought it should have been.
It should have been.
In front of the Olympic stand where Harms will take this kick. He'll send it towards Mitch Brown. It won't get to him. Paddy McCartan spoiled by his teammate Rampy. And in the end, Spargo sees it over the boundary line through the tackle of Paddy McCartan. Sydney by 7 points, approaching half-time at the MCG.
That was the ultimate in playing dumb by Blakey. Did very well just to halt proceedings so they could get a few numbers behind the ball. Toss back into play in front of the members here at the MCG. Gawn won it down. Warner's onto it. Petrarca's onto him. Oliver flicks out a hand pass to Gawn. Back to Harms. He'll kick inside 50. Not a lot of space there. Coming back with a flight was Fox. Fritz is onto it. He turns onto his left and bends it beautifully from the right forward pocket. Much needed goal. His second of the evening. It's funny saying that after they kicked 5 in the opening term, the D's, but they closed the margin to 1 point. Swans still in front after 27 minutes in this second term.
No, well, the Swans kicked 6 goals to 2 so far. One early was Melbourne, but that Bailey Fritsch one again. He just picks it up, moves nicely, finishes it off well, but all the work was done on the wing. All the stuff here was done here at where it's supposed to, with the midfield and the ruck, and all those blokes are the power players of this football club. And all of a sudden you get some free ball into the forward line. That's the first bit of free ball they've had for some time, for about 30 minutes, I would say. So well done for Melbourne, but gee whiz, I'm really impressed with what we've seen with Sydney. Have come back. They have to win the quarter, and they did. They are going to.
Mark McClure with you on ABC Sport. Bailey Fritsch with 2 disposals for 2 goals and a break. 6-goal run for the Swans. Back in the middle. Laddams has landed awkwardly. We'll keep an eye on that as Rowbottom tries to wrestle away from Oliver. No easy feat, and he emerges in the one-on-one. Long kick towards Amati. Getting back was Petty. It clears the pack. Tomlinson runs onto it. Amati with a great tackle. Did he have possession? It's knocked through by the Melbourne defence for a minor score. Sydney by 2 points.
He's very lucky there, Tomlinson.
Extremely.
Could have easily been holding the ball.
Starting to look very dangerous now, the Swans, every time they go inside 50.
They're a different backline without Stephen May.
Yeah. Bowie, long kick out of defence. Jackson couldn't complete the mark at half-back. Going low, Viney spun out of one tackle, not the second. Lucky not to be paid holding the ball. Warner turned it over by hand. Back to Viney. Neil Bullen there. He's taken in a strong tackle by Hayward. Got in his back, though. Fell over the top of him. Free kick conceded at left half-back for the Swans. And it is going to be Neil Bullen to take it for the D's.
We saw last night, Geelong struggled when Tom Stewart went down with a concussion. Took them to the last quarter to be comfortable to play without him. So, again, looked great in the first quarter, but now without Stephen May when the pressure's on, they look all at sea, the D's defenders.
Jake Poitering, of course, the week before for the Blues against Collingwood, as Lever's long kick, and Max Gawn takes a good contested mark. Jake Lever, of course, is part of the key, averaging 4 intercept marks last season, only averaging sort of 1.7 in 2022. Hasn't quite recaptured his best form. Here's Langdon, having got it from Gawn. Long kick inside the 50. Laddams, big fly, going upstairs and taking a good mark on the back of Bailey Fritsch. Seems to be okay after landing awkwardly in that centre ruck battle. He switches to the left back pocket where Heaney takes the mark, and he goes short. Still 15 metres out from the defensive goal to Blakey. And the Swans content with taking the lead at half-time. What an impressive quarter. They kicked 5 goals, 4 to Melbourne's 2 straight. 6 straight from the last goal of the opening term to the 25-minute mark of the second term. And having trailed by as much as 26 points on 2 occasions, Sydney find themselves in front by 2 at half-time. 6-9-45 to the Demons, 7-1-43. 3 goals to Sam Reid, 2 goals to Logan McDonald. Tom Papley, the other goal scorer for the Swans. Meanwhile, for the Demons, 2 to Bailey Fritsch, individuals to Jackson, 2 to Max Gawn as well, individuals to Jackson, Langdon and James Jordan. Swans by 2 points at half-time. Adam Ramanauskas and Mark McClure.
Well, what a quarter of football by the Swans. It was sensational. I loved what they did. They've got the game back again. It's an interesting game now. Instead of Melbourne just running away with them and belting them. The first quarter they were at 6s and 7s. They didn't know where they were, Sydney. They just got sliced and diced, and they kicked 1 goal 6 or something, was it, for the quarter or something like that? And then all of a sudden you turn around, but it was turned around by the midfield. It's Rowbottom, Warner, Laddams, Heaney, Gouldings, Parker and those sort of guys and Wicks and those sort of guys who run and move the ball and wouldn't give up. I really think that Longmire would have said at a quarter time, you blokes have got to fix this up yourselves. I can't help you. And away they went. They're a very, very disciplined bunch. They're a really good footy club, Sydney, and that's how they play. They got a bunch of kids. McDonald, who stood up. Reid stood up and kicked a couple, 3 goals, and McDonald kicked a couple. Papley got 1 in there as well. But all of a sudden, you look at that side and you go, they're a really good team. They didn't look very good in the first quarter, but they can play, and I really love what they did.
Oh, well, look, they ramped up their pressure game in that second quarter. The Swans contested football, they win by 3, but the tackle count, they win by 11. So they're plus 11 in that area of the game. And you could see that Melbourne felt the pressure because they were making uncharacteristic mistakes that we haven't seen for a long time. Sydney then win the territory battle. 250 metres plus in gained territory in that second quarter. But what's giving Melbourne trouble is the key forwards. McDonald's looking good, and Sam Reid's had a terrific first half. Should have had 4. He's got 3 in that first half. But I just think structurally they're a different team without Stephen May. I mentioned that late in that quarter. Tomlinson's had his moments where he's looked really uncomfortable. Lever has to play on somebody now. He can't lay off like he normally does, come third man into the contest. So great response by Sydney because Sellers easily, they could have just said, this is all a bit too hard for us. It got out to 26 points early in that second quarter, but I love the response. I love the pressure response. That's the most important thing. Against the best, you've got to apply enormous pressure, and Sydney were able to do that in that second quarter.
Now we've had two sides test them.
Yeah,
which is good. Fremantle young side, and also Sydney young side who test them with speed and movement.
Yeah, we saw last week John Longmire pull the trigger and put Callum Mills behind the ball. Tonight they were able to sort it out with contested footy, and then you could see when Reid and McDonald started taking a few marks, all of a sudden their confidence grew and their urgency to get it in quickly to a few of those one-on-ones, and Melbourne were exposed.
Well, Heaney came up to the wing, and I thought that was a significant change because he wasn't touching it as a forward. The other part to this is Clayton Oliver's had only the 10 possessions for the half. He's had 3 kicks, 7 handballs, and Rowbottom's had 9, so he's doing a really good job on Oliver because he's their most informed midfielder. As it stands, and Sydney have gone after him and they're winning that battle.
And the trick of that is, when you lock down and one of Melbourne, that someone else will get an opportunity. Jack Viney, 15 disposals, but going at 17% kicking efficiency. So he doesn't punish you the same way Clayton Oliver does. Half-time here at the MCG. Sydney by 2 points over the Demons. Earlier, Adelaide defeated the West Coast Eagles by 31 points, and the Gold Coast Suns by 62 over North Melbourne. Great to have your company on Saturday Night Footy on Grandstand AFL, ABC Radio, ABC News Radio, and ABC Sport Digital. Let's get the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News with Satyam Weinstein. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi says the crux of issues in the country's relationship with Australia is that some political forces in Australia insist on viewing China as a rival. He says China is viewed as a rival rather than a partner, and the country's development is viewed as a threat rather than an opportunity. Mr. Wang says to improve China-Australia relations, there's no autopilot mode and the reset requires concrete action. He's made the comments to members of the Chinese media while in Port Moresby. The Reuters news agency says 2 of its journalists have been injured and a driver was killed after their vehicle came under fire in eastern Ukraine. Larry Buttrose has the details.
Ukraine is becoming an increasingly risky place for journalists to do their jobs, with a French reporter killed in the past week. The Reuters journalists were trying to reach the city of Severodonetsk, where Ukraine says it's making advances against Russian forces. The Luhansk regional governor says Ukrainian troops have recovered around a fifth of the industrial city, and each side now controls about half of it. He says more Western weapons supplies are needed to help Ukraine regain the city.
Ukraine says its intelligence services are in communication with the captured Azovstal steelworks fighters from the fallen city of Mariupol. Kiev says it's doing all it can to ensure their release. Uncertainty has surrounded the fate of hundreds of fighters taken into Russian custody in the middle of last month after they were ordered to stand down. Meanwhile, the World Food Programme says more than 80 million people in East Africa are facing acute food shortages because of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The BBC's Will Ross explains.
The consequence of what's going on in Ukraine is having a huge impact across the African continent. Many, many countries have been hit hard by the food crisis as fertilizer and mainly wheat products are not able to leave Ukraine and Russia. But it's also that the cost of food is going up for the aid agencies. So when they're trying to get food to help these people, they're finding the money from donors is not going as far as it should.
16 more people have died in Victoria with COVID-19 as the state begins its first winter during the pandemic without lockdowns. Yvette Gray reports.
The Victorian government says it won't be reaching for harsh mandates to respond to what it says will be a challenging winter as COVID-19 and flu infections rise. Latest figures reveal Victoria has more than 50,000 active COVID cases after 8,445 were reported yesterday. But health officials believe the true number of infections in the community is much higher. There are currently 509 people in hospital with the virus, including 29 in intensive care. Acting Chief Health Officer Ben Cowie is urging vulnerable Victorians to see their doctor now to set out a plan to access antiviral treatments if needed.
WA has reported 10 historical COVID-19 deaths. The state recorded 6,242 new infections of the virus. There are 278 people in hospital with COVID-19, including 11 in intensive care. WA currently has 44,731 active infections of COVID. New South Wales has recorded a fourth case of monkeypox in a resident who recently returned from Europe. The man in his 30s was travelling with another resident, also in his 30s. New South Wales Health says the second man's also likely to have monkeypox, but is still to be confirmed. Both men developed an illness after returning to Sydney. They're isolating at home and health officials are undertaking contact tracing, but have so far not identified any local high-risk contacts. Family and friends in the U.S. state of Texas are mourning the death of a man and his 4 grandsons who were killed by an escaped prisoner. Authorities say 66-year-old Mark Collins and his grandsons, ranging in age from 11 to 18, were killed by convicted murderer Gonzalo Lopez, who stole their car and later died in a shootout with police. Spokesman for the family, Andy Kahan, says it's a devastating time for those that knew them.
These precious people who loved and were loved by so many will never be forgotten. The impact on their family and friends cannot be overstated.
And a Mexican evangelical church leader has pleaded guilty to child sex abuse charges in a U.S. court. Nason Joaquin Garcia was charged with raping and trafficking girls from his congregation. He's the head of the Light of the World Church, which has hundreds of thousands of followers in Mexico. He was arrested at Los Angeles Airport 3 years ago, along with 3 women who were also charged over the offences. You're up to date with ABC News.
If you love sport, we've got the podcast for you. ABC Sport Daily, your daily sports conversation.
I don't know if you heard him say that they weren't here to put socks on centipedes.
Well, you wouldn't want to ask them that.
Essentially, his dad thought as a kid that he was a little bit overweight, and so he gave him 2 options as a sporting journey, either into rugby league or into the fight game, and he decided to get into the boxing gym.
Find it wherever you get your podcasts.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Adams one down the tap, it's straight to Sparrow of Melbourne. It kicks towards half forward. Harms is able to gather. Fends off a tackler, sends it long to Gawn in the goal mouth. He's got it. He's hard to stop in a one-on-one battle. The Melbourne skipper. Gawn comes in. He's taking it to the max. He's got 2 in the opening 2 quarters. The Western Australian Logan McDonald comes in. Great kick off the boot. And in front of a good crowd of South Melbourne Sydney fans, he steers it straight through the middle. Parker looks towards Logan McDonald. He flies against Lever. Almost took the mark at ground level. First onto it. Hand pass to Rowbottom. Long kick inside 50. 2-on-2. Reed's there. He's got it. One of the few players still in the Sydney lineup, part of the 2012 Premiership. Sam Reed comes in directly in front, 30 metres out, and he kicks his 3rd. Rampy breaks the Viney tackle, dribbles a kick to Weeks, brilliant pickup on 50, turns one way then the other, kicks inside 50, McDonald! The young Western Australian with 1 goal already tonight to pull the Swans back within a point. He liked it before it went straight over the goal umpire's hat. And Warner gathers, he's got no one further afield. He puts it towards Papley, one-on-one. Got his body pushed away, Hunt, gathered the footy, vacant goal mouth, it's all in the kick, and Papley bounces it through.
Back to Harms, he'll kick inside 50, not a lot of space there, coming back with a flight was Fox, reaches onto it, he turns onto his left and bends it beautifully from the right forward pocket.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Half-time of the MCG for Saturday night footy. The Sydney Swans lead the Demons by 2 points. 6-9-45 to Melbourne, 7-1-43 after the Demons led by 20 points at quarter time. The Swans with 5 goals to 2 in that second quarter to take the lead and hang on to a 2-point margin. Matt Klitsch alongside Andrew Mays, Adam Ramanaskas and Mark McClure, your experts. Lauren Borden is down on the boundary. No shortage of other sport taking place at the moment across the world. In the NRL tonight, of course, State of Origin not that far away, so the reduced fixture. 41 minutes gone. It's the Manly Seagulls, 24 points to 0 against the Warriors. So a one-sided affair there. The match review panel handed down their findings from last night's match between Geelong and the Western Bulldogs. Bailey Smith has been charged with headbutting Zach Tui during the third quarter. In summary, he can accept a 2-match suspension with an early plea. Based on the evidence, the incident was assessed as intentional conduct, medium impact and high contact. So the incident was classified as a 2-match sanction as a first offence. What did you think, Rama? Right call, 2-match ban for Bailey Smith for headbutting?
Feels right. Yep.
More than one?
Yeah.
Two's about right?
Yeah, well...
The mark on Tui's head
correct.
made it hard to argue that the contact wasn't sufficient.
Yeah. No, that's... Yeah, Friday night football. We spoke about this a little bit on the lead at lunchtime today. It's a bit of, it's the optics of it all and all those words that we use, but feels about right. We don't want that in our game.
What do you think? 2 weeks about right, Sells?
Yeah, I think that's about right. He maybe should have got 3. If you want to stop something, you put a big thing on it, and if they want to challenge, they can come and challenge. But seriously, headbutting's not a great thing that I'd like to see anywhere in the world.
Well, that's a nice little segue, Rammer. If you missed the lead earlier today, it's available as a podcast under the best of ABC Sport, as is the new daily podcast, the ABC Sport Daily, which you can listen to with Patrick Stack. So that's available wherever you get your podcasts from. French Open final as well tonight. Iga Swiatek, who's had an incredible start to the season with Ash Barty victorious in the Australian Open, but since then it's been all Iga. She takes on Coco Gauff, so that's the women's final getting underway tonight, and Rafael Nadal in the men's final against Casper Ruud tomorrow. After the wheelchair was required, Rafael Nadal through with a walkover against Alexander Zverev. So yes, action packed.
Does that court, centre court there, should that be renamed?
Yeah.
Swiatek's got a long way to go in her career.
I think the interesting part is
that's 2 by you.
Yeah, he's in good form tonight, mate. He's brought his Saturday night best with the team. So what's right for a 13-time Roland Garros champion?
And he's going to go in as a red-hot favourite.
And he keeps making the comment of, I'll definitely be back for the next match, but whether I'm back next year, maybe not. So I think that's probably coming, isn't it? 21 Grand Slams, Rafael Nadal, one of the all-time champions, and everyone talks about Novak Djokovic surpassing him, but all of a sudden Djokovic, with a few other challenges in life, is not playing as many Grand Slams as what he was a couple of years ago. So and Rafa's record against the top 3
is
against
outrageous.
Djokovic, against Federer, is incredible. Also cricket taking place, day 3 of the first test between England and New Zealand. Baz McCullum is the new coach of the England side, Sellers. So England all out for 141 after New Zealand were out for 132 in the first dig. New Zealand in their second innings 4 for 252. So Daryl Mitchell on 108. Tom Blundell on 94. So New Zealand.
Why would you be talking to me about cricket?
I just thought you might be interested.
Well, how many sports can I watch in a day?
Well, you can watch a fair bit of golf, can't you? And then you can get out and play golf.
Yeah. And I went and played, and then I'm watching football, and I forgot about Rafa. Didn't know that it was on the French Open. And
seriously, you tell me you're up at 6 a.m. each morning. You need to get out of
I got other
this.
things to do besides watch that.
Okay.
Goes for a walk, he does, he cleans the car, all sorts of things.
No, I don't know what I do, actually.
Just swinging hands with Virg. A lot of quality time
I'm
together.
uncertain about that one.
Half-time here, Sydney leading Melbourne by 2 points. Remember, for our listeners that mightn't have been with us for the whole first half, Melbourne started out of the gate super impressive.
Yeah.
And then Sydney were able to wrestle the momentum in the second quarter. So can the Swans maintain that? Have Melbourne all of a sudden a few chinks being exposed off the back of a loss to Freo last week? How do you read it?
No, I don't necessarily think it's chinks. I just think Sydney applied an enormous amount of pressure in that second quarter and forced Melbourne into some mistakes. And that's, I think, what you need to do. You need to force a turnover against against Melbourne, then go back the other way really quickly. There's a beautiful passage of play for the Papley goal where it was inside Melbourne's forward 50, and Sydney just kept coming at him. They just kept pushing at him and spoiling and tackling and harassing and pressuring. And then the ball spills out, and Warner was good enough to compose himself to get that ball over the top to Tom Papley for a goal. But again, I spoke about this just before the break. With Stephen May out, their back line has looked a little bit disorganised at times. Stephen May is so good at being that absolute wicket keeper, Sellers.
Yep.
The last guy in the line of defence for Melbourne, and just directing traffic where he wants his troops.
This is the best thing about that. Sometimes you're going to lose a player. So now they have to work out what they're going to do without these sort of guys, okay? The other side of this is that, you know what, Sydney's had 15 shots at goal to 8. Now that is a domination that you won't see against Melbourne too often. 15 shots at goal to 8. Now they're the premiers of they kick straight. And they did all that, 7-1, great. Good, but 6-9. They've had the ball inside their 50 that time, enormous amount of numbers. They worked out that they needed more pressure in the midfield. They did it. They've outscored them for the quarter. I thought they were tremendous. Their kids who work well. And McDonald has been sensational. Logan McDonald, I think he's been sensational the way he moves and gets around the ground. Don't need Buddy, and that's a good thing. Sometimes you've got to work out what you're going to do without Buddy. He ain't going to be there forever. So all these little things against the best side in the competition adds up pretty well. I think that they can stand up in finals, Sydney. And if they win this, they'll make the finals. They've got a tough run home, and we've all been through what they've gone home. They got Melbourne, then Port, and then St Kilda, then Essendon. I'd win that. That's a soda. Okay, Bull Ants. Sorry, Ramon. And Freo. They got Freo. I don't think they can beat.
You're
them.
only speaking the truth, Sellers.
They got their 150th celebration.
You're already Giants, and you've got St Kilda as well, and they got they'll probably beat North, but it's not an easy run home. Collingwood and those sort of guys.
No, that's right. Now, look, they're still a young, developing team. Yep, they've got some experience in the team, but they have got a lot of youngsters in this team. So, getting wins like this potentially against the best is really important.
John Longmire must be so proud because after he talks to them, they respond.
Correct.
And I think that is really, really good stuff.
I just think here with Melbourne, it's really interesting when you're a super team and you come off a loss. You've been up for like that. You do take a dip. So, at times. I think it was Carlton in 95. They won all those games in a row, then they lost 2 in a row. So I think they went 20-2 for the season. They lost 2 games on the trot. But Melbourne, what I want to see in this,
didn't they win the premiership?
They did.
Yeah. St Kilda and Sydney they lost too.
But what I want to see in this third quarter now from Melbourne, I want to see them lift up their pressure rating. I don't think there is.
Melbourne dropped off.
Yeah. Well, they've only had 26 tackles for the half there, and Sydney have had 44. So this is the part now. Melbourne have got to start hunting. They're going to start applying the physical pressure. It's okay when the ball's in the hand and the like, but now, close as close can be, but start applying some pressure now, the D's.
Once you start thinking you're okay, guess what? You're no good.
Colin O'Riordan was subbed out of the match early after being collected high, so it meant that Ben Rock was into the action in the opening term. Toby Bedford still not required for Melbourne. Sydney by 2 points. Into the second half we go with Andrew Mays.
So the challenge ahead for the D's. What have they got, the Premiers, in this second half? Rowbottom ripped free from him. Umpire called play on. Perhaps a little bit lucky. Parker overran it. Brayshaw, hand pass to Gawn, hand pass to Salem. There's a free kick in there, but the umpire waves advantage. Salem to the top of 50. Fritsch takes the mark. He'll have to kick from 55. Has Mitch Brown short. Instead, he's going to go longer. Oh, lovely kick. Just took a little bit off it. Heaney was convinced he'd touched it, but he just dinked it into space where Ben Brown was able to run onto it in the left forward pocket.
I tell you what, that is a long run-up. He'll be tired by the time he gets to the bloke on the mark, I think. Have a look at it. He's 50 metres back.
So whatever works, Sellers, whatever works.
He's in line.
I know he's your man.
But
I know
whatever works. He's been a brilliant goal kicker.
He has started his run-up from in line with the centre square. And in he comes from 45. Didn't work that time out to the right for one behind. It's a big build-up for a behind, isn't it?
Oh, gee whiz.
Margin is 1 point in favour of the Swans. Minute played, third term.
There was nothing more certain than he wasn't going to kick that one. Sellers started to question it. Blakey to bring the Swans back into play. Kicks towards Heaney. In a wrestle with Jordan.
Here he goes. Get this one.
Palm to the front.
Oh, I missed that one
run
too.
down by Heaney, holding the footy. Couldn't get boot to ball that time. And Isaac Heaney, quick as a flash, laid the tackle. Has it right half back, tries to thread the needle to row bottom. Oliver takes the mark, turns into the middle of the ground, moves Melbourne quickly into attack. Fritsch 2-on-1. Tom McCartan there, spoiled down by Rampy. Spargo in the pocket, looks at options, centres it to Langdon over his head. And cannoning through is McInerney. The ball stays in play. Now Lloyd has to deal with it. He's tackled by Langdon and the ball spills over for a boundary throw into the right forward pocket.
Did he hit the post, did he?
Now McInerney, no, he just propelled himself forward and missed everything and landed really awkwardly. He seems to be okay now. Sydney by a point, Melbourne in attack.
A little bit of drizzle here as well to start the second half. Toss back into play. Ben Brown in the ruck, just grabs it himself, then he's grabbed, dispossessed. Mills, quick kick out of the congestion, will land at 60. Brayshaw spoiled away from him by Amati towards the boundary line. Pickett's lurking. Petty got a kick in there, only travelled 6 or 7 metres. Laddam's off a step, able to mop up for the Swans towards the wing, no mark taken. Heaney comes into the centre square and then he takes Neil Bullen without the ball, got him high as well. And Neil Bullen will have the free kick forward of the centre circles.
He tried to get round him instead of actually bodying him. And all of a sudden they're going to lose it. Go forward again for Melbourne.
It's allowed Sydney to get a lot of players back inside their offensive 50. So Alex Neil Bullen just hands it long and high in the direction of Brown and Gawn. It clears both of them. Mitch Brown races after it, but it goes across the boundary line for a throw-in the right forward pocket of the punt road end for the Demons. Sydney still by a point.
Forward pocket here. Looks like the police are busy on the far side as well, marching a couple of spectators up the races. Now a chance for Brown, couldn't take it. And strong tackle over the top. Pickett's lurking, kick comes over his head. Petrarca spoiled away from him. Lloyd just a blind kick out of defensive 50. Got it to the wing, free kick. Going the way of Amati.
It's got nowhere to go.
Reid takes the advantage. He's in the centre circle with nowhere to go, so he has to look laterally. Fox is the outnumber. He can go quickly if he wants. He pokes the pass over the top to Heaney, who's still inside the centre square.
Surveying the options, he's got Hayward deep at the goal square against Salem. Sends it into the pocket, just over the fingertips of Papley. And the mark taken by James Jordan. Only a few inches off him taking the mark.
Well, he was an inch off the ground, perhaps.
Yep. Short to Salem, who takes the mark in the left back pocket. Having missed 10 weeks. The important Demon halfback sends it towards Mitch Brown. Heaney juggled it, but just couldn't complete the mark. And in the end, it's seen out of play with Robbie Fox lying on his belly. There's the job on Bailey Fritsch tonight. Sydney by a point.
Players set themselves. Sydney a couple of numbers. Defensive side of this stoppage. Mills is free. It ends up with him as well. He's tackled immediately by Oliver. That was brute. Ball locked up right half forward for the Swans.
He's the number one midfielder in the game, I reckon, almost, Oliver. He's got to get himself into it.
Laddams tried to flick it over behind himself. Couldn't do so. Row bottom. Just got Oliver a little high and he wants to go straight away. Oliver gets to his feet, kicks an absolute floater towards half forward. Hard one to mark. It's going to work out okay. Harms has taken in a big tackle. Did he hang on too long, Mills? Yes. And so Harms has the free kick, 60 from the D's goal.
Eyes darting for options inside 50. Decides to drive it long towards Fritsch. Setting itself in front was Blakey. Spoils it down. Ben Brown goes cannoning through without the footy. Blakey now lays the tackle. Lloyd just socks it off the ground, straight into the path of McInerney, who gathers a couple of metres away from him, kicks to Hayward, who takes an impressive one-handed mark. Stationary against Salem at left half-back. Sydney by a point.
Hayward wants to go quickly as well. He's got a couple of one-on-ones on the wing. Petty too strong in that contest. Just shoved Reid out of the way. Aggressive kick by Petty too, into the middle to Gawn. And Gawn to the members' wing, where Brayshaw takes the mark. He goes further wide to Jordan. They've spread this nicely. They want to keep going. Harms is offering a lead, 15 metres further afield. Jordan finds him. Harms happy to hold things up. He had Neil Bullen short. Instead, he's going to go way over his head inside 50. Players set themselves. No mark taken. Big pack forming. No crummer there immediately. Petrarca v. Heaney. Both ushered off the ball. Neil Bullen now backtracks by hand to Bowie. Bowie pokes it into the pocket. It's all Swans, though. And Blakey, instead of taking the mark, spoils a double fister out of bounds. Probably didn't know he had no company from a D in the forward line.
No, but
did the safe thing.
But again, if you can use both fists, you can mark the ball. Just open your hands.
No score through the opening 6 minutes of this third quarter. Or no goal, should I say, from the throw-in. Brown tries to tap it down to Petrarca. Worked off it. Gathered, though, by Lloyd. It kicks a long ball up to the wing. And Marty was shoved out of it. Logan McDonald soccers it off the deck. That'll work. He runs onto it right half forward. He's got vacant territory in front of him. Bounces it end over end. Hayward tries to soccer it. Couldn't get a boot to it. Salem on the last line. He scraps forward against Papley. Papley gets a hand pass to Wicks. He's under pressure from Bowie. Tries to knock it to Reid. He's tackled by Harms and Lever and Tomlinson. And the moment's lost for Sydney. 15 metres out in front of their goal at the Stadium. The Swans by a point.
It was a smart kick by McDonald, because Melbourne, all their defenders are all goal side, so it was a chaos ball. It just made everybody try to run onto it.
Gone down, row bottom. Could have been held. Umpire said play on. Tomlinson with it now. Long kick to no one in particular. Ball bounced awkwardly for Lloyd, who had to wait for it. He's looking for some support.
Contest.
Tom McCartan and Bowie crash into it. McCartan on the bottom of that pack. And the umpire says, I'll have it. Ball locked up, left half forward.
It's a good contest by Bowie. The littler man in that contest with Tom McCartan. Big centre half back, but he put his body on the line.
From the throw up, Gawn knocks it down to Oliver, who tries to in turn work it to Viney. Back to Oliver and now to Langdon against the boundary. Kicks for Cozzy Pickett, who marks on his chest. Hand pass to Petrarca at halfback. Uses his burst to get away from opponents. Long towards French. Almost had it, just couldn't hang on. Fox tries to knock it clear. Swans under pressure. French gets it away to Jordan. Kicks end over end on his left and misses to the left-hand side. Scores level at 45 apiece. 8 minutes gone, third term.
Kicked the opening goal this evening, James Jordan. Behind there to add to his tally this evening. Blakey with the ball goes into the left back pocket. Careful kick. It's okay to find Lloyd. 8 minutes played, third term. Scores level. 7-3 plays 6-9. That's long kick from Lloyd.
Not good.
Laddams had to punch from behind. Couldn't do anything else. Now Mitch Brown onto it. High kick to the dangerous spot. Swans have the numbers. Tom McCartan eats that up. Good contested mark, and he can go quickly.
Moves it out towards half-back. We're running back with a flight. Gordon was able to take the mark. He played on. Now tries to get back behind his mark, and Jordan charges at him. Under pressure, kicks boundary side. And Ben Ronk, the medical sub, takes the mark.
Got a bit of composure, Gordon.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he's just
Clever.
held the ball long enough there. And nobody in front of him.
That damaging left foot for pick 32 back in 2020. As Robbie Fox has it. And the Swans with no real clear passage forward. As he goes to ramp, he's still on the defensive 50. Straight down the middle, he kicks towards Reid, who takes the mark in front of Max Gawn. All of a sudden he's playing expired footy. 3 goals in the first half. Sydney players streaming back. He kicks long towards the goal mouth. In the pack was Logan McDonald, sport away from him. Bowie races after it, row bottom after him. And it goes out in the right forward pocket for Sydney.
See, Reid, he's got to just turn and go or give the handball. He can't wait. Because Melbourne just, they're so good at rolling back.
Thrown back into play. Swans deep forward here. Gawn so strong in the ruck. His kick smothered though. Mills a hand pass to Reid. Hand pass to Warner, who slipped over. Just got to his feet. Hand pass was a little dodgy. Now a chance for Pickett. Almost picked the pocket there of Lloyd. Now Jackson back to Pickett. And Pickett, short kick. It'll land in front of Mitch Brown, who has a bit of work to do at ground level. Picked it up, was tackled immediately. And that is locked up just underneath the Shane Warne stand on halfway. Let's head downstairs. And Lauren?
Well, luckily the rain has eased off down here. It was just a quick 5-minute shower, but enough to send some fans undercover to get away from it.
Thanks, Lauren. Lauren Bourne down the boundary. Jackson and Laddams. Jackson wins down the tap to Viney. Hand pass to Oliver and now to Langdon. Hurries the kick towards half forward. Fritsch in front, slide again. Couldn't take the mark, but back onto it as quick as a flash. Hand pass to Mitch Brown. Works it to Viney. Just couldn't link up with Cozzy Pickett. Viney tries to slide back in, knocking it away from McInerney. And now Rowbottom lays the tackle with Oliver stuck underneath.
I'm sensing Lauren's pretty happy the rain stopped down there.
Yeah, I think she is too.
What do you think?
I'm thinking that too, but I can tell you, Sydney have not scored this quarter at all. After 11 minutes and 30 seconds.
High kick to the centre circles. Lever tracking back. Nice dummy. Bought himself a little bit of time. Flared it out wide too. Job here for Spargo. Got out the back. Worked McInerney under the ball beautifully and kept going as well. Kick inside 50. Gorn at ground level. Didn't take the mark. Hand pass to Jackson. How's that for two, Ruckman? Then short kick turns it over. And Florent takes a good defensive mark on the second grab. Going back with the flight.
They were in trouble there, Sydney. Got themselves out of it.
Scores level, Melbourne 7-3-45, Sydney 6-9-45. Florent down the middle, good kick to Rowbottom, running away from Gorn, finds Heaney in the middle of the ground. A one-on-one inside 50, Hunt and Papley, bounces off Papley's chest, he's after it, he taps it to his advantage, he overruns the footy, Tom Papley, and Hunt knocks it to Tomlinson. Papley has another go, knocks it to McDonald, hand pass back to Papley, jams it on the left, hits the post. Oh, he did so much right. Tom Papley refused to give in when it didn't seem it was going to amount to anything. Hit the top of the right goalpost. It's enough to give Sydney the lead by a point.
Good fun watching Tom Papley one-on-one inside 50.
I thought Jaden Hunt was really good there. Also, he tripped at the last moment, but nervous if you're a defender in that situation.
Tomlinson, long kick out. It's rode beautifully by Viney from the contest. Hand pass to Pickett. They're over halfway and they're out the back here. Just has to sit for Fritsch. It does. He snaps and he does it beautifully. All class from Bailey Fritsch. His third of the evening. And you just love him in those situations. 13 played, third term. Lead back with the D's by 5 points.
Well, you go back to the kick in, and they're able to win the ball. But you love what Jack Viney does in that situation. Rather than giving the handball straight away, he makes a Sydney defender come towards him, then gives a little handball to Pickett. That allows a chance for the Melbourne forwards to reset and at least start heading back towards goal. Fritsch in that situation, you're right, Maisie. You love him in those because he's composed there. You know, he could have easily overran the ball, but he let it bounce to him. Then on that left foot, it's just been so deadly.
5 disposals of Bailey Fritsch for 3 goals. Talk about making the maximum impact. Reed into the ruck against Jackson here. Comes down to Rowbottom. Hand pass to Parker. Missed Reed with his hand pass. Warner cleans it up. Jordan sits underneath the high kick to the members wing. Rowbottom charged in. Won the footy. Hand pass or a throw looking for Gordon. It's picked off by Melbourne. Jordan gathers. Hand pass to Salem on the members wing. Kicks up towards Ben Brown. Nudged underneath it by Rampy. And Paddy McCartan takes the mark. Off a step, a laser pass to Rowbottom, who marks on the AFL logo members side. Melbourne by 5 points.
Just got his fingers under that one. Kicks wide to Lloyd. Lloyd has a bit of a hole to try and hit for Parker, who wants it towards the boundary line. Goes longer instead, towards 50. Heaney up in front through his hands. McDonald was at the back of that pack. No prior opportunity as he's wrapped up. Inside attacking 50, another stoppage for the Swans.
See, Parker hasn't had a lot of it.
For the game.
Not a lot, mate. He's had 1 so far.
Thrown up.
10 only. That's not his style.
Heaney, no clearance there. Lovely specky taken by Oliver off a step. Ball only travelled a metre. Now Sparrow forced to clear quickly. Awkward ball. Gorn got there late and forced the boundary throw in as Paddy McCartan had a gap on him. Ball to be tossed in front of the MCC members. 15 played, third term. It is the D's by 5 points.
Andrew Mays, Matt Clinch, Lauren Borden Adam Ramanauskas and Mark McClure with you on a Saturday night. Reid takes it out of the ruck against Jackson. Didn't get a clean hand pass away. Jordan for Melbourne. Kick ricochets into Mills. It's got forward by Heaney. Hand pass to Warner. Kicks low towards McDonald. Got Petty out of the way. Hand pass too sharp for Ronk. He goes back and wins it for Sydney. To Heaney. Sidestep around Bowie. Sends it long to the goal mouth. It's over the head of Hayward. And just getting there at the nick of time was Langdon. Otherwise it would have sailed through for a goal. Melbourne leading by 4 points.
I reckon Hayward thought that was a goal too. He shepherded his man out of it. Didn't know that Langdon was sprinting behind him. Great work by the Melbourne winger again. Tomlinson, long kick in. Reid from 3 deep, big spoil. Sparrow front and centre, tries to take it. Warner might have had his jump. Umpire says play on. Parker might have been dragged off it. Well done by Ben Brown. Got a hand pass away to Oliver. And Oliver blindly kicks forward. Paddy McCartan's set for this, and he'll take it on his chest. Plenty of space at left half back. Set up nicely behind the ball there, the Swans.
McCartan looks back inside the defensive 50 to Lloyd. He's got plenty of space and looks out to the members wing. Heaney underneath the kick that hung in the air for a little while too long. He does take the mark though in front of Petty.
That's the athleticism of Heaney. Yeah. He'd get up in the air and protect. He protects the ball with his body. So Petty just couldn't get there to get the spoil on the ball.
Kicks boundary side to Blakey. The Lizard looking at options, decides to turn and kick on his left towards a Marty. It won't get to him. Brayshaw in front. Couldn't take the mark. Wrong hand pass to Heaney. Kicks inside 50 on the bounce for Reid. Couldn't take it cleanly. Jackson, good tackle for Melbourne. Spills to Parker. He knocks it to Warner at the top of the 50. Turns back on his right. Kicks towards McDonald and Bowie. Bowie did well. McDonald couldn't hang on and Lever slides in. Wins it for Melbourne. Gets the hand pass to Oliver. Back to Lever. Away to Langdon. High ball up to half back. Max Gawn underneath had to spoil against Fox, who worked his way to the front. And a boundary throw in at left half forward for the Swans.
Done a lot right tonight, Logan McDonald, but he should have marked that. Bowie a lot smaller. Isaac Heaney just coming from the ground here.
That could be a big moment. Ball to be tossed in. Left half forward for the Swans. Reid in front. Got to the back. Sparrows slung off his kick. Only just got boot to ball. Ends up with Neil Bullen. Hand pass out wide to Langdon. Langdon kick towards Jackson. Jackson and Paddy McCartan in a one-on-one. McCartan wins out.
What?
Jackson had a fistful of jumper. I'm not convinced that wasn't happening the other way as well there, Sellers.
I've got no idea.
Langdon ends up with it on the wing. Short kick. He's okay. Spargo has it a metre inside the boundary.
Interesting time of this game, isn't it? Could go either way.
Spargo comes inboard and finds Angus Brayshaw, who looks to kick to the top of the 50. Good pass, finds Christian Petrarca. He's had a bit of the footy, 16 disposals, but hasn't had his usual impact.
Well, the other one who's lifted their rating this quarter is Clayton Oliver.
Yeah.
He's up to 11 possessions.
I sort of feel like Simon Goodwin might have said to him, I know you've got a tag, but roll your sleeves up, start to get to work.
It's hard to hold down.
And Christian Petrarca's lining up thinking this is within range for him, so he'll have to kick from outside 50, hard out to the right. Now Oliver's been downed off the ball by Warner. The umpire's coming out of word, but no free kick. Petrarca veers out to the right. It's across the face of goal. Ben Brown's against 3. Competed well. Tries to keep it alive. Eventually it's through across the behind line for a minor score. Melbourne by 5 points. 19 minutes gone, third term.
Blakey to take the kick in for the Swans. Florent presents short. That's where he'll head. Fairly straight up the middle.
It's a nothing kick when the man on the mark is 15 metres back. You may as well take that space and send it 70 metres down ground.
Florent went wide to Rampy, who kicks long towards the wing. Big fist from Lever this time. Almost into the centre square. Brayshaw runs onto it. Off his left. Harms is out the back over his head. Missed him by a metre. And it goes through for a behind. 20 played, third term. Margin is 6 points in favour of the D's.
As Nick Blakey looks to bring Sydney back into play. D's got out by 26 points in the first quarter and the second quarter. But the Swans have done well from that point onwards to make it an arm wrestle. Blakey runs his full measure, kicks towards Laddams and Gawn. Clears the two. Gawn back onto it first. Hand pass to Neil Bullen. Into the middle of the ground for Brayshaw. Looks towards half forward. Spargo takes the mark. In the middle of the MCG. All of a sudden the flow for Melbourne is just not as much as we're used to. Kicks laterally out to Petty, who marks at left half forward. It's allowed Sydney to get numbers back. Petty kicks into the middle of the ground for Matt Gawn. He's no closer to goal though. Still 2 kicks out from goal. Gawn just drives it long towards the teeth of goal. Jackson in the pack. Laddams up, got hands to it, couldn't take the mark. Paddy McCartan gathers against the behind line, sends it long to half back. Haywood and Petty takes a great mark for Melbourne.
He wants to turn and go quickly as well. Petty does. Straight to the hot spot again. Can Ben Brown get a run? Not quite. Mark dropped by a couple of Swans there. Laddams, he receives a hand pass in the end and took on Sparrow. Just got the hand pass away. Off to Lloyd, out towards the boundary. Lever tries to get the hand pass away and he can't. He runs out of space.
Good result.
Yeah, that's a win for the Swans.
Absolutely.
Ball to be tossed in 55 from the D's goal.
Just gives that defender.
Took his eye off the ball there too.
Yeah.
Took his eye off it.
Lifted his head up.
Absolutely. And he's lucky to get away with it.
Laddams v Gawn in the ruck. Gawn takes it out of the ruck. Then he just got his hand pass away as well. Sparrow taken in a strong tackle. Umpire standing there and he's going to give him holding the ball. Not disposing of it properly, so chance now for the Swans just to take a bit of a breath here. They've absorbed some pressure over the last 5 or so minutes.
Which way is this going to go, Remmer? It's sort of a little arm wrestle right now.
Yeah, it's a good quarter of footy.
Yep.
Parker up to the wing and Max Gawn takes the mark. The Melbourne captain retreats back to Brayshaw. He kicks into the middle of the ground for Bowie. He had to get it past the fingertips of Ronk. And he takes the mark in the middle of the ground for the D's. Hand pass back to Brayshaw. Kicks for Neil Bullen. He takes the mark. And Wicks makes contacts above the shoulder. Melbourne fans thought that could have been 50. The umpire didn't see it that way. And Alex Neil Bullen will line up pretty much directly in front, 40 metres out from goal.
Yeah, there's an argument. It could have been 50, but
he had the mark, which is probably
a little bit
the case they made, but he did try and make it look a bit worse than what it was.
Melbourne's only kicked 1 goal for the quarter. That's the only goal kicked.
Alex Neil Bullen, 2 goals, 8 for the season. From 45 metres out, make that 2-9. As he misses to the left-hand side. So Melbourne lead by 7 points, but they're doing it by single digits at the moment. 23 minutes gone, 3rd term.
Well, they're controlling possession, the D's, at the moment. 90 possessions to 66 in this corner. It's living in their forward half at the moment.
Long kick by Paddy McCartan. Looked like Amati was going to get rid of Petty and take that. Petty showed some strength to get the fist in. Off to Bowie. Kick inside 50. Almost there to Mitch Brown. Swans with the numbers. Rampy looking for a way out. This time he's got it. Who took on Pickett. Just got his hand pass away. Turned it over though. Viney of his right hits the fat side of the footy. It might work out. Langdon coming one way. Florent the other. Umpire says play on. Paddy McCartan. Short kick is okay. And again the Swans can take a breath of defence.
Just got a hold.
Fox takes it right back pocket.
Kicks up towards half-back. Rowbottom, not the intended target, takes the mark in front of Oliver, who whacked the footy clear.
16 inside 50s to 7. Only a minute and a half remaining in this quarter. They just got to hold firm in the Swans.
Isaac Heaney's been a part of 4 of those inside 50s for Sydney. Kick up towards Max Gawn. Can't take the mark. Petty gone. Haywood laid a big tackle. The ball spills clear to Tomlinson. Off balance kick into the middle of the ground and Mills takes the mark. One last chance to Sydney before 3/4 time. Kicks towards Heaney. Good spoil. Getting back. Petty got a fist onto it. Just as Heaney thought he had a couple of metres to take the mark. They're throwing it right half forward for the Swans.
Big last minute here coming up before 3/4 time. Sydney haven't kicked a goal in this 3rd term. Just 1 to the D's. They have dominated the quarter for large parts. Laddams tries to whack it forward, as does Lloyd. Got it inside 50. Turned by Heaney. He got it forward, but it's in a lot of congestion. Ball going nowhere, and umpire says, I'll have it. Lever over the top. McDonald gets to his feet, gives it back to the umpire. Gawn with a tap behind himself there. Mills has pushed off it. Now Oliver Hand pass was okay to Sparrow. Goes back by hand to Viney. Forced to dink a little kick forward. Straight to Lloyd, though. It's on the wing. Parker off one step. They need a mark here, the Swans. Well done by Papley to create the contest, but Hunt there for the D's. Got the hand pass away to Jordan. Now Pickett's in between a 2-on-1 there, and he won out too. Oliver puts it in front of Pickett, who kept on running left half forward. Does he take him on? Not quite. McCartan, great chase. Tom McCartan, and he got him a second time as well. Brilliant effort, Tom McCartan. Unfortunately, Paddy picked it up and turned it over his brother.
Oh, it's over.
So Oliver took the mark. He's asking the umpire whether he'll get 50, and he doesn't, so he has to give it back to him. In fact, Oliver says, I'm going to have a shot.
Kick a talk.
He does. Up on goal,
stepped off his line.
He stepped off his line. Lucky that wasn't the end of the game. Oh, good fun at the end of that third quarter. But what a chase, and the teammates from the bench there go all the way over to Tom McCartan. There's a bit happening afterwards as well here. Good. Neil Bullen. There's about 5 or 6 now, about 10 players around here. Nothing too serious. Looks like Mills is probably the loudest of the speakers there from a fair distance away from the Swans, but both sets of players separate and march back to their huddles. Just the one goal in that third term to Bailey Fritsch, the 13-minute mark. But it's the D's, 8-6-54, leading the Swans 6-11-47 at three-quarter time. We're in for a thrilling last quarter. Goal kickers for the Swans, 3 to Reid, 2 to McDonald, and 1 to Papley. Meanwhile, for the D's, 3 to Fritsch, 2 to Gawn, and 1 each to Jackson, Langdon, and Jordan.
What a final term we're in for. The Demons lead by 7 points on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, ABC News Radio, and ABC Sport Digital.
Ready for some new adventures? Back Roads is back. From the macho mining town of Tom Price in WA to outback Queensland and Tasmania's Cradle Mountain, join me, Heather Hewitt, and some of my fellow guest explorers for a journey to some of this country's most remote towns, full of surprising and memorable characters.
All new Back Roads. New adventures Monday nights on ABC TV and streaming on ABC iView.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Tomlinson, long kick out. It's rowed beautifully by Viney from the contest. Hand pass to Pickett. They're over halfway and they're out the back here. Just has to sit for Fritsch. It does. He snaps and he does it beautifully.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Just the one goal scored in that third quarter, but there was no shortage of action as the Demons, who led by trailed by 2 points at half-time, are now 7 points clear at three-quarter time. 8-6-54 to the Swans, 6-11-47. Matt Clinch alongside Andrew Mays, Lauren Borden down on the boundary. The thoughts of Adam Romanascus and Mark McClure.
Well, I just think that quarter was Melbourne's quarter. They had plenty of the ball. They just continued to get the ball. 104 to 80 for the quarter. That's a big win, 24 if you look at that. And their percentage, Melbourne's kicking percentage is at 54%. Now, that is just poor if you think about that. They didn't hit targets. They didn't finish their work off. They could have won that game quite comfortably in this quarter and put themselves and propelled them into the game. But all of a sudden, Sydney worked on them and did. They had 50-75% of their stuff hits a target, which is a much better deal. They chipped it around well, they controlled the ball, and they kept them at bay. It was an arm wrestle for 30 minutes that quarter. We didn't know which way it was going to go and how it was going to turn out, but I really enjoyed it. One goal for the quarter, and you have some enjoyment. I don't understand that, but, really and truthfully, I thought Melbourne were terrific that quarter. They kept punching it forward, but they just got to hit some targets properly and get a clean ball into their forward line. Their midfield started to pick up again, and they had their lapses and they get back up on top. This is going to be a ripping last quarter, Emma.
Well, Melbourne really did dominate that quarter. So inside 50, 16-9, the ball lived in their forward half.
Didn't score that.
Contested football 45-30. So, they ramped up the pressure. But the scoreboard was 1 goal, 5-2 behind.
I know that.
So that's where, they left a couple out there. There's no doubt about that. That the D's. I thought Sydney defended really well.
Oh, yeah.
their defenders were under a lot of pressure. Both McCartans were very good in that quarter, just getting there, spoiling, chasing around. Tom McCartan's effort right on the 3/4 time siren with Pickett was simply amazing for a big guy. A lot of others would have just given up, but he continued to persist, Sellers.
If you're a coach of an AFL side, you'd be watching this pretty closely, this game, because I tell you what, this upsets Melbourne. How are you going to upset Melbourne? Because they're the ones who we think are going to win this, so to win the whole competition. They did last year, so what can you do so?
Well, it's the pressure that Sydney are applying. 66 tackles now for 3/4. Okay, it's a little bit slippery out there, but it's forcing Melbourne into error. It's forcing 1 goal 5 is through pressure.
Of course.
Yep, they missed a couple of set shots. I understand that. But also at the same time, Sydney they might just get a hand in there. They might just get a little push in there. They might, just those little things that they're trying to do. So, look, we're talking a goal of difference. And Melbourne, where they are ahead is through possession. They're about 50 plus in possession. So Mills is Sydney's leading possession winner with 20. Then you go down to 16 with Heaney. On the other side, James Jordan 24, Clayton Oliver 23, who really lifted his rating in that third quarter. Jack Viney 22. I think for Sydney to win this game in this last quarter, it's about risk. Okay? If they
don't take it though.
Well, if they
risk.
play safe in this quarter, Melbourne will win. Because Melbourne like that sort of safe, systematic type of game. Sydney need to go back to risk. Second quarter, they took risk. They kicked 5 goals on the trot. That third quarter, they were defending for their life. But this quarter, if they're winning the ball, it's got to be quick. I'd like to see Papley a little bit more one out, just to see,
sit him at full forward.
Yeah, just to see what he can do early in this quarter. Yes, McDonald and Reid have been pretty good, but can Papley create a goal or two in this quarter? Heaney's going down to the forward line now. Can he sneak one early in this quarter just to get the momentum going? I think if Sydney get momentum early in this last quarter, it goes a long way to them winning the game.
We've seen sides with small forward lines win games comfortably.
Absolutely.
Max Gawn's gone to full forward for the Demons, so you've got to go back to round 15 and round 16 of 2020. The last time Melbourne lost back-to-back matches. They lead by 7 points here, but the Swans are surging in this second half. And into the final term we go. Jackson starts in the middle against Laddams. Laddams wins down the tap. Petrarca onto it for Melbourne though. Hand pass picked off by Hayward. Trying to link up with Mills, but Petrarca's back in there for Melbourne. Hand pass to Langdon on the southern wing. Turns and kicks inboard to Jackson. He's got 3 players at centre half forward. He wants to go longer and more direct than that towards Gawn in a tangle with Tom McCartan. And Gawn's getting the free kick. Both had a bit of jumper. Did the Tom McCartan around the front of the jumper just linger a little bit? Oh, I don't know about that.
We didn't see the whole thing.
Gawn threw his arms up, looking for the free kick, and it feels like the umpire thought there was enough contact there.
That's a good move, putting Gawn up forward. I think that's fantastic. He's a hard man to handle in that zone, and he's strong, and he's a pretty good kick for goal too.
Kicked a goal in the first and a goal in the second. The first Melbourne captain to hold the cup up since Ron Barassi comes in and kicks the first goal of the final term. Max Gawn with his third, and Melbourne extend their lead to 13 points with the first goal of the final term, which is just 1 minute old. The Demons 9-6-60, Sydney 6-11-47 on ABC Sport.
Well, Max is a focal point now. He becomes that person to kick to. And he's so big and strong and can't move him off the ball. Obviously, you've got to grapple. You've got to hang on. You've got to push. You've got to shove. And yet they got caught. Sometimes you get caught. Sometimes you don't. But that's a really good move. Smart move by Goody to put him up there, because he's a dominant force in the forward line. He's kicked 3 goals already. Has he not?
Yeah, correct. 3 next to his name.
3 next to his name, and he's in the ruck. That's pretty damn good.
He and Reid have been the 2 central targets.
Back in the middle, Laddams looking for Mills, who was taken in a strong tackle by Oliver. Wrapped up again. Another stoppage to take place. 4 to the centre circles this time, ever so slightly. Laddams, double hit out that time. Trying to burst away was Viney, just bashed it forward. Got it to centre half forward. Pressure here for the Swans defence, but Lloyd picks up nicely. Gives it to Blakey, the direct route straight down the centre square. Papley in to Rove. Hand pass was just a little awkward for McDonald, who couldn't quite rein it in. Spills to Goulden off his right boot towards Heaney, who took it on the second go.
What a mark.
Hunt was up before acceptances, so Heaney had to deal with a man on his shoulders. It bounced off his chest. He almost falconed himself, and then he took it on the way down.
Such an athletic player, this kid. It did hit him in the face, right on the nose. And then he caught it.
He found it.
Bit like a seal.
Tears in the eyes.
In he comes, Isaac Heaney. Hasn't kicked a goal tonight. This would be very important. 30 out directly in front, no mistake. And the Swans hang around. 7 points the margin. We've played 3 minutes in this final term.
But this again, it's through the ball movement. And I mentioned this at three-quarter time. For Sydney to be a chance, they've got to take risks. They've got to move the ball on quickly. So the ball comes in. Papley was terrific at winning the ball right across half forward there. But then it's a long kick into the one-on-one. Heaney started the game at full forward, then he's played up on a wing in quarters 2 and 3. Now they put him back into the goal square to try and get a couple of goals early in this last quarter. So Gawn gets one end, Heaney gets the other end. So we're still even Stevens, only a couple of minutes into this quarter.
Adam Romanascus with you on ABC Sport. Swans answer immediately back. Melbourne by 7 points. Umpire bounces in the middle of the G. Jackson up against Laddams. Laddams wins down the tap. Awkward bounce for Oliver. Rowbottom onto it. Squeeze the kick away as Jackson Loom kicks up towards Logan McDonald.
He's playing high.
Takes the mark 55 metres out from goal. Couple of goals for the 20-year-old from Western Australia. Looks into the pocket, kicks towards Laddams in a mismatch with Harms. I thought he might have had it long enough, not paid. Brayshaw with a hand pass to Viney in the left back pocket. He looks up to Spargo. It's too wide for him. Out of bounds on the full in front of a good portion of Sydney South Melbourne fans who have come in for Saturday night footy just in front of this kick.
Florin has to wait a little while before getting the ball back from over the fence. Takes on the man on the mark as well. Gain 15 metres. Kick to the top of the square. Lever in prime position. Big bump late by Hayward. Forced the contest out of bounds.
Just don't love that kick by Florin. It's such a defensive kick to the forward pocket. Keep putting pressure on. Get to the top of the square.
And that's where defenders grapple, hold.
Correct.
Can't hang on.
Laddams v Jackson. Jackson tried to reach over the top. Ends up with Brayshaw, though, off his left. Good kick. Lands in the lap of Spargo, who slides in to take the mark. Wants to go quickly as well. Hand pass out wide to the running Viney. Viney up over halfway, beyond the wing. Punched away by Paddy McCartan. Back towards Lloyd. He's dispossessed, though. Oliver, one arm pinned. He'll be gone holding the ball. The pressure on Oliver has been outstanding.
This is a big tackling game.
Warner with the free kick, and he'll get it moving quickly to Mills as well beyond centre wing.
Can get the hand pass back to Warner, who kept running. He gets to right half forward, long towards Reid. One-on-one with Petty. Brayshaw getting back. He slides down low and claims the mark. Sliding across the behind line. And such desperation from Angus Brayshaw rewarded. And I'm sure encouraged by his teammates as he takes the mark on the last line. Kicks up towards Max Gawn. Could have got one in the face from Tom McCartan. And the Melbourne captain will take it at left half back. 3 goals tonight for Max Gawn. His kick is risky. Asked a bit of Langdon as he ricochets into McInerney. He's able to just hang on to the mark. The most perfect executed kick from Big Max. It does do things other ruckmen wouldn't dare to do.
Petty's 150 metres away calling for the ball. Is that weird or is that weird?
Langdon decides to go long down the line towards Mitch Brown. No mark taken. Warner gathers and runs away from Oliver. Oliver got him though at the last moment. Forced the turnover. Gawn works it forward. Got it away to Petrarca, who kicks to Fritsch in the middle of the MCG. Spots Mitch Brown, kicks towards him. Paddy McCartan got back, got a fist to it. Viney in the pocket, hand pass to Jackson. Veers out, snaps on the right. It's across the face. And misses everything.
Well, Fritsch went the wrong way. He had, because he's always going to go left. But Harms was to the right of him. He just couldn't see him. And Harms had probably 15 or 20 metres of space. going inside forward 50.
Goulden, short kick is okay. He finds Blakey. Blakey still inside defensive 50. His short pass is careful and he finds Florent. Still at left half back. Called to play on. Sparrow shuts down the space, so he's forced to kick off the instep and quickly straight down the throat of Gawn, who takes the mark on centre wing. So just a little bit of pressure applied there again. Dodgy kick by Gawn, and it put Petrarca under all sorts of pressure. Goulden onto it. High kick. Papley from behind, forced to compete against Brayshaw, who kept it in, knew he had numbers defensively. Hand pass on the bounce to Petty, who gathered. Careful with his kick towards the boundary. Gawn 3 deep. Takes a good mark amongst that pack.
Gawn looks to Harms, a kick which he's asking him to run on. He just marks with his fingertips as Rowbottom was there trying to force him off it. So Harms will have to go back behind his mark at right half forward on the members' side. It allows Sydney to get numbers back. So one-on-one's further afield apart from Sparrow, so he chips it in that direction. He marks at right half forward, still a good 80 metres out from goal. Melbourne heading to the city end in this final term. Mitch Brown, the deepest forward, sends it in that direction. Fritsch stays front and centre. In the end, Tom McCartan flies and takes an uncontested mark in the left back pocket for the Swans.
Where's the way out for Tom McCartan? He goes short to Goulden. Tucks just inside the boundary line. Left back pocket for the Swans. Margin 7 points in favour of the D's. 9 minutes played last quarter. A little indecisive with his kick. Bought himself a little bit of time. It's a high kick. Gawn. One grab, not the second. Parker read it nicely. Hand pass to Laddams. And now to Warner. Warner's kick went about 7 metres, so Florent did well enough to recognise the situation and spun out of trouble as well. And now he's turned it over. Now to Oliver. Oliver in the centre square. Over to Sparrow. Back to Oliver. Missed him by hand. And Oliver fell over as well. Mills onto it. Straight up the middle. Lever intercepts. Dropped the mark. Should have taken it. Wicks, a hand pass to Wrong. High kick. Inside 50. Amati v. Salem. Amati didn't take the mark. Won it down though. Hand pass. Comes to McDonald, who falls and bends it enough to kick the goal. He's got 3, and the Swans are back within a point. 9 minutes played, final term on Grandstand AFL.
Well, I was looking inside Melbourne's forward 50 when Oliver won the ball. I thought it was going inside forward 50 because there's options inside there, and they've given the extra handball, the D's. And that's what's they've become unstuck with. That little extra handball was the fumble that allowed Sydney back in to go and win the ball. Then it was a bit messy from the Swan sellers. It was a bit messy, but a chaos ball. And Marty competed inside forward 50. He was able to compete, bring the ball to ground. I loved it.
You know what? We're learning about Logan McDonald.
Yeah.
We are learning that this kid's got some talent.
He's going to be a player.
This is a fun Saturday night at the MCG. The Demons on top of the AFL ladder, being taken right to the brink by the 7th place Sydney Swans. Back in the middle, Gawn wins down the tap against Latham, straight to Petrarca. Textbook clearance, long towards Ben Brown, getting back. Tom McCartan. Excellent mark.
Heavy pressure there.
Crashing the pack and leaving Ben Brown awkwardly, having landed on the turf.
Yeah, both saw.
Gets the hand pass away to Rampy, up towards Laddams. Gawn shoved him out of the way. Gathered the footy. Goulden laid the tackle. He never saw him. Errol Goulden has it at half back. Kicks looking for Parker. Didn't get to him. And Petrarca takes the intercepting mark.
Kick towards right half forward. Brown competed. Crashed the pack. Allowed Sparrow in. Wonderful smother. Rampy coming across. And then happy to see it out as Goulden absorbed the tackle. There's casualties deep 40 for the D, so Ben Brown's just got to his feet. Tom McCartan's still limping, and as the ball was coming towards half forward, I reckon they were hoping it wasn't going to come their way. But walking wounded down there at the moment. Gawn from the boundary throw in, taps it straight to Mills, over his head with the snap. Well done by Wicks, going back with a flight, absorbed the pressure and took it on his chest.
He looks at options around the members' wing. Ronk offers a lead, that's ignored. Wants to go deeper than that towards Amati. In from the side, Lever takes the mark and pounds away around the members' wing. Hand pass down low for Viney, and then Oliver just cannons his body in there. Couldn't win it though. Gathered by Wicks to McDonald. Hand pass too sharp for Rowbottom. Pressure enormous for both teams. Parker slides in. Hand pass to a stationary Paddy McCartan. Trying to get over his shoulder to Blake. He couldn't take it. Right through traffic. It's ferocious. Now works it back to Reid. To Mills, a bit more time, composure, kicks towards McDonald, a shove on Petty, umpire says illegally.
They saw one.
And Jake Bowie, should I say who it was, who got the shove, so he'll take the free kick at right half back. Melbourne by a point.
Bowie, short to Salem, behind centre wing. It's got a sniff of September, this one, about it this afternoon, or this evening rather. Viney, hand pass to the running Brayshaw. Brayshaw kick towards Mitch Brown, who should take the mark out of space on his opponent. He can go back. He's currently 55 out from goal.
There's one on short. They'll just throw a short there.
James Jordan's all on his own.
On his own, yeah.
He was motioning towards Brown to hit him up short, but that's evaporated as Goulden now comes over for a bit of company. So Mitch Brown likes his chances here. He'll have to kick this all of 54 metres to carry the line. Kicks from 52. He's laid into it beautifully. If it's got the carry, not quite. Mark! Gone on the goal line. Got to the front of the pack and he was strongest.
He's a danger up there, I can assure you.
He's having a big game.
Monster. He's had a monster game. Absolutely fabulous game.
So he's marked a metre right here of the goal square, so he's going to be put on a pretty acute angle.
And he's a ruckman.
Is he any good on the banana kick?
We're going to find out.
Left foot or banana. He's going the banana. He kicks. Sits across the face. One behind.
Ruckman.
2 points the margin. 14 minutes played, final term on Grandstand AFL. Strap yourselves in.
2 points, eh?
Nick Blakey looks at options. He's going to go down the middle to Mills. Perfectly played set piece for them Swans. Mills looks out to the southern side of the ground. Kick is over the head of Hayward and Brayshaw juggles the mark as Heaney was too late in his efforts to try and spoil. Angus Brayshaw at left half back. The umpire, I thought, was telling him to hold on for a moment. Eventually he kicks laterally and finds Bowie at left half back. He's gesturing the stand. Now told to move on, so Bowie kicks it long around the southern stand. Ben Brown in from the side, can't take the mark. Front and centre of Oliver onto it for Melbourne. Hand pass to Langdon, back to Oliver. Tries to link up with Viney. Works it forward to Petrarca through traffic. Back to Viney on the 50-metre arc in the boundary, long to the goal mouth. Goulden's there. He takes the mark in front of Jordan.
So they're going to put that higher, outside, 10 metres outside the square to put some pressure on the opposition. No good kicking to the pocket.
Goulden takes his full measure towards Mills. Running interference there was Petrarca, who appeals for deliberate. And it's going to be out on the full instead. So off his boot, I fear. And the free kick going the way of Mills. Right half back here for the Swans. Let's head downstairs with Lauren.
Tom McCartan finally found some time to get to the bench. He's gone straight down into the rooms, probably to get some strapping on his ankles. He looked really sore coming off.
So his brother Paddy ends up with the ball at centre half back, flares it out wide to Blakey, who's off and running through left half back. He'll reach Goulden here on the bounce, who can turn on that left foot towards Amati. Good contest from behind by Petty, able to spoil and out of bounds right where the 50-metre line meets the boundary line, left half forward for the Swans.
Who wins, Rammer? Sellers?
Oh, what do you think?
I think that's what we're all guessing.
Football.
Well, if you pick one, you're the other one probably.
I like Sydney's run so far too, in this last quarter.
They're not penetrating, are they?
Reid got rid of Gawn. Hand pass to Papley. Kicks inside 50. McDonald couldn't take the mark. He crumbs, snaps, and goes. No! Just over the top of the right goalpost. There wasn't a lot in it. And if the goal umpire had gone upstairs, he would have been well within his rights. It's a 1 point lead for the Demons, and Logan McDonald with 3 goals to the match almost put Sydney in front.
He's an exciting young prospect, that's for sure, Logan McDonald. Tomlinson with the kick in. Long this time. Gone again. Pack of 4. He was sandwiched between 2 Swans and he took it. Better kick this time as well. He releases Spargo, who can go quickly. Didn't. Short. He comes inboard to find Oliver. Off a step.
That's too easy.
He advances further afield to Viney, who can go back to Oliver by hand. He doesn't, just soaks up a bit of time. He's 60 out from goal. He'll put this low to the hot spot. Brown from behind couldn't get a run at it. Neil Bullen spins out of one tackle, looking for the hand pass. Gets it to Bowie from 45. Awkward kick off the side of the boot. Oh, landed. Fritch's breadbasket, who takes it almost uncontested in the forward pocket.
Yeah, he just floats around Bailey Fritch, and all of a sudden he pops up. You know, he's a great kick for goal. Understands the game. He's tall, as we know, and he keeps scoring. Bailey Fritch. He's already got 3. This could be it. He's got one in the first, one in the second, and one in the third.
5 kicks for Bailey Fritch this evening for 3 goals. He'll kick from 45-degree angle to the right, and he misses everything. Doesn't even have the journey to go out of bounds. In fact, it's a contest where Paddy McCartan roves. He's forced to kick to space. If this goes out, he's in trouble. It pitches inside, and Papley happy to see it over. That's a win for the Swans.
It's a 30-metre kick he had.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was just horrible.
Right off the side of the boot.
You know, the pressure's starting to get to everyone when Bailey Fritch is shanking them like that. 32,753 into the MCG tonight. Langdon at half forward, works it forward to Sparrow, to Harms, tackled, lost it.
Good
Still
contest.
a chance for the Swans as Latham gets it to McInerney. Takes a bounce at right half back, draws Bowie, hand pass over the top to Wicks, kicks around the southern wing, a bouncing ball, Reed caught behind, laid the tackle on Petty, it spoils Sahini, kicks to Papley in the pocket. Now Salem came in and tried to knock the footy away. I don't think Papley had fully completed the mark. And so Tom Papley in the right forward pocket with a chance to kick his second and put Sydney in front.
Big goal. This one. Big goal.
Absolutely massive kick for Tom Papley. Missed the first 6 weeks of the season. A slow start to season 2022. But a chance to stand up here where it matters most. Tom Papley, 45 metres out, didn't like it off the boot. It's across the face, and Tomlinson marks on the behind line in front of Will Hayward. So no change to the score. Melbourne by a point.
Long kick by Tomlinson, clears defensive 50. Mitch Brown, big fist from behind by Paddy McCartan. He'll end up with Goulden, who couldn't quite take the ball. He got held back though, and he can take the kick from about 52. He'll have to kick from, with the mark right on about 48.
He has a piercing kick
Yeah,
too.
I don't.
You can't make it, I don't think.
Well,
maybe.
There's not many others that would like the ball in their hand from a Sydney point of view. It's a beautiful kick of the football.
It is.
Does he have the journey? Seems confident in his approach. He'll kick from 51. It's a long kick. It's coming back. Sydney in front. What a goal. Errol Goulden delivers a massive blow. 9-12-66 the Swans. 9-7-61 the D's. 20 minutes played, final term.
In the first quarter, though, 1 goal 5. 1 goal 5. 5 goals down in this match, and all of a sudden they've hit the front again. They've got to the front by 5 points. And can they hang on? I don't know. I have no idea. The Demons have been outplaying them in a couple of quarters. They've been powerful in a lot of places. Maxie Gawn's kicked his third goal, all those sorts of things. And so to me, I just don't know who's going to win. But that was a super kick by Errol Goulding. What a player.
That's X factor about it. When McDonald, Gawn, Fritch can't do so.
Yeah.
Step up Errol Goulden with the moment on his shoulders. What a big kick. Sydney in front by 5 points. Bounce in the middle. Jackson and Laddams. Laddams wins down the tap to Viney of Melbourne. He gives the hand pass to Petrarca. Squeeze the kick down the middle. Brown came charging out. Great courage as Lloyd sat underneath the footy. Mitch Brown came charging out. And Jake Lloyd so courageous. Kicks out to the southern wing. It bounces out in front of Wicks. He doesn't take it cleanly, but gathers in front of Langdon. Hand pass to McInerney. He runs his full measure. Kicks a low piercing kick up to Heaney. He can't complete the mark. And maybe just a little bit worried about how close he was to the boundary line. He fumbles it across. And a boundary throw in. Sydney by 5 points. 22 minutes gone, final term.
Melbourne fans getting a little restless in their seats. Toss back into play. Jackson from behind. Laddam's in front. Swinging a boot at it was Mills. Missed it. Awkward hand pass by Langdon to Viney, who had to go back and fetch it. Off to Gawn, who takes the mark. Paddled it to his own advantage up in the air. The delivery inside 50 now for Max. Good mark. Florent going back with the flight. Was able to cut across of a couple of targets there. And he takes the relieving defensive mark. Switches play to the left back pocket where Lloyd takes it.
Looks up the ground. He has Hayward free. He can take the mark at left half back. All of a sudden, the game just looking more on Sydney's terms. The longer it's gone.
Yeah, well, they're going to keep running.
That's it.
Don't save the game. Try to look for another score.
3-1 in the final term, Sydney's way. Hayward short to Lloyd. Around the boundary lines. He can kick up to Heaney. So Sydney are just picking off the loose options. And Melbourne are happy to give it to them up the ground. Heaney now with a bit more purpose.
Reid.
Long towards Reid in front. Petty, Reid almost juggled the mark. Hand pass to Parker. He jams a high kick inside 50. McInerney underneath it. Right there with him is Langdon. Papley slides in. The ball trickles out of play. In the back.
Oh, I can't believe that.
Wow.
Papley receives a free kick in the back. It's against Ed Langdon, who did so much right in the first attempt.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
But the second was in the eyes of the umpire in the back.
Yeah, I think the knee from Langdon.
Did he take his feet, though?
Well, I don't think, no. He definitely didn't take his feet.
Okay.
Tom Papley, deep in the left forward pocket, steps out, snaps, all eyes on me! As Tom Papley sails it straight through the middle, and Sydney lead by 11 points. What have you got, Melbourne? The reigning premiers being challenged, beaten in round 11, down by 11 in round 12. The Swans 10-12, 72 to Melbourne 9-7, 61, and Tom Papley with one of his trademark celebrations to match. Lauren Borden on the boundary.
Well, sometimes you can't even tell there's interstate fans in the MCG, but right now it feels like Sydney are the home side. They've just started out chance, and they are up and about and can sense a victory here.
Well, you go all the way back to Florent's mark. So Max Gawn tried to chip it over to Harms. Florent gets in there and takes the intercept mark. Then they just surgically bring the ball down the ground. It was through chip kick and chip kick and chip kick. And then Sam Reid makes a big contest at the top of 50 to allow the ball to get inside forward 50 for the Swans.
Gawn in the ruck. Whacks it just over the head of Oliver. McInerney in off the wing. Keeps it low inside 50 over the head of McDonald. Big fist coming out of defensive 50. Rowbottom onto it though. To Reid. To Warner for the sealer. Warner across the face. One behind. 12 points the margin. 25 played. Final term.
All of a sudden, Sydney have kicked the last 4 goals of the match, and it's just hard to see for Melbourne. Salem long out of defence towards Gawn. Ball down to the front. No room for Hunt. He's tackled by Heaney. Spills out to Neil Bullen. Good smother by Lloyd. Ricochets out to Gawn. Hand pass to Brayshaw. Right half back for the Demons. Kicks up towards Harms. Paddy McCartney in from the side. Spoils it out of play. He'd have to be getting into close to double digits for intercept possessions, Paddy McCartan. His brother Tom has had a couple of good ones as well.
He's had 10 intercept possessions for the game, Paddy McCartan. He's had a really strong game.
The former Saint, he spent so much time on the sideline with concussion. The suspension in the VFL, back in the AFL.
Oh, no one down there.
Warner hurries a kick to half forward. Nobody's there, so Petty should run onto it for the Demons. At half back, looks at options, drives a kick straight back to where it came. Gawn underneath it from the back.
Great
Tom
punch.
McCartan got a fist to it. Down to Rowbottom. Kicks inboard. Sam Reid marks.
He can turn and go. It's a one-on-one deep forward. Lever v Hayward. Oh, the kick off the side of the boot. McDonald almost gave the free kick away. Petty did well enough to gather, put Oliver under a bit of pressure. Just got his hand pass away to Viney, who steps inside. Short kick is okay to Petrarca. They're going to roll the dice here. The D's through the middle. Petrarca to Tomlinson. Tomlinson straight up the middle to Jackson. Just behind the centre circles. Wants to keep on rolling. Gives it to the run of Brayshaw. He goes to centre half forward. A lot of penetration lacking on that kick. And able to just turn around, take an easy mark on his chest is McInerney.
A minute to go. They just need to find 4 or 5 possessions here, the Swans.
Looks out wide with a careful kick that finds Lloyd.
There's one.
So the ball in safe hands for the moment. Wanted to turn and kick it backwards. Now decides to head around the boundary line. A good precise kick that finds Luke Parker. And Sydney are feeling like the end is near as they work it back to Lloyd. Melbourne out of answers as the Swans have been able to kick 4 unanswered goals in the final term. Long up the line, McInerney takes the mark.
Had a good game, this kid.
Yeah. Played on that wing against Langdon all night.
Justin McInerney sends it long towards the forward 50. Tomlinson spoils it away from Heaney. It comes to Logan McDonald. Hard against the boundary. Kicks towards the goal mouth. It bounces end over end. It's not going to score. It'll stay in play. Oliver races back after it. He runs onto it. Chips it to Salem inside the defensive 50. The siren sounds and the young Bloods are winners. They down the reigning premiers by 12 points with the most significant win of their season. And Melbourne record back-to-back losses for the first time since 2020. The Swans winners by 12 points.
Shake down the thunder from the sky. Whether the odds be great or small, Swans will go in and win overall. While our loyal Swans are marching onwards to victory.
It was a bit similar to last Friday night against the Tigers. Melbourne led by 20 points at quarter time. The Swans hit the front by 2 points at half time. Had to kick 5 goals to 2 in the second quarter. Melbourne returned to the lead by 7 points at three-quarter time, kicking 1 goal 5 to 2 behinds in the third before the Swans managed to boot 4 goals to 1 in the final term to run out winners 10-13-73 to the Demons 9-7-61 in front of 32,753 fans.
Honor the name by day and by night. Lift that noble banner high. Shake down the thunder from the sky. Whether the odds be great or small, Swans will go in and win overall. While our loyal Swans are marching onwards to victory.
Sydney record a famous win at the MCG on a Saturday night, 12-point winners over the Demons. And what it means to Melbourne is all of a sudden their gap at the top of the AFL ladder could close. If Brisbane were able to beat Fremantle, that would mean all of a sudden they're equal on points. Still a game's gap to Fremantle, Geelong and St Kilda. Throw in Sydney as well with that win. So all of a sudden, just when you thought the season had taken shape, an unpredictable result with Sydney prevailing at the MCG. For the winners, 3 goals to Logan McDonald, 3 goals to Sam Reid. A couple to Tom Papley, including a big one in the last quarter alongside Errol Goulden, who also kicked an individual goal with Isaac Heaney as well. Meanwhile, for Melbourne, Max Gawn with 3, Bailey Fritsch with 3 individuals to Jackson, Langdon and Jordan. I think you summed it up best, Sellers, with wow at the end. That's what we all thought.
Well, we did, and seriously, did we come here today thinking Sydney were going to win this? No, we didn't. Did we think that at quarter time? No, we didn't. But gee whiz, they thought they could, and they worked out a way. It's just a couple of things about Melbourne that worry me sometimes. Their kicking efficiency is down to 64%, which is poor. Are they hungry enough again to want to play tough footy? I think there's time for them to have a little reset, just a little think about how they're actually operating at the moment. They might think they're too good with their skills, but they won the premiership on toughness and hardness and actually working for each other. Didn't see a lot of it. Saw a bit of it, but not much of it. The tackle count was 74-53. So that was Sydney won the tackle count. That's the hard stuff that you have to do to turn it over and get the ball back in your hands. I didn't see a lot of that. They think they're better than what they are at the moment a little bit. And they've got this is a reckoning for them. This is a time to settle down and say, hey, do we have another result at this premiership? Or are we just going to be an also-round who wins once and doesn't come back again and doesn't get here in September again? That's the key to this business. You can't think you're better than someone else, because guess what? Sydney rolled you over quite comfortably with a bunch of young kids who play footy pretty well and a good ethos that actually is all team. And I love the way they finished the game and the way they played it, Sydney. They were fantastic.
Well, there was a significant shift in pressure from Sydney after quarter time.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we're talking 5 goals 1 to 1 goal 5 at quarter time. And Melbourne were doing it quite easily. They kicked 5 on the trot to start that first quarter, and it looked like how far. It really did, because they were doing as they pleased, Melbourne. They were moving the ball the way they wanted. They had their 2 wingers kicking goals early in that first quarter. But to get a response as they did at quarter time, and what John Longmire and the rest of his coaching staff must have said, it was fantastic.
Oh.
It was absolutely fantastic. The most significant stat of tonight is the tackle count.
Huge.
So you look through all the quarters and you go, Sydney, tackle count there, 16 to 27. Their favour in that second quarter. They kicked those 5 goals in the second quarter to take a 2-point halftime lead. And you knew they were up for the fight. The third quarter is just an arm wrestle, Sellers.
Oh, yeah.
It's an arm wrestle, but Melbourne didn't capitalise. They kicked 1 goal 5 in that second quarter to 2 behinds. And then you look at the last quarter, it was Sydney pushing. It was Sydney still trying to create turnovers. Scores off turnover tonight was significant. Melbourne 5 behinds, Sydney 8 goal 7. So every time they created a turnover, you could see them wanting to run and spread. Exactly what Fremantle did last week. As soon as they were able to cause a turnover, they caught Melbourne flat-footed. Now, the reason that happens is because when you've been so dominant for so long, you forget that. When you turn the ball over, oh, gee, I've got to chase still. And at times tonight, Melbourne simply didn't want to chase. So I think that's the part that Simon Goodwin will be looking at. He'll be going, okay, boys, yeah, we can still win it. We can still all do the nice things. But if we turn the ball over, hey, roll your sleeves up and start to chase, start to tackle, start to harass. Because they were exposed. 8 goals, 7. They only kicked 10 for the quarter.
This is a serious
10
thing.
for the game, sorry.
This is a serious thing because they are nowhere near where they were end of last year.
No, look, they're still a very good team.
We know that.
There's no doubt about that.
They're not doing the hard things well.
I think now teams, they've found a chink.
Yeah.
They've found a chink in the armour.
All of a sudden, the arrival of winter and the questions are going to be asked of Melbourne. Sydney winners by 12 points, and then they enjoy that with their fans at the City end. Let's go revel with them with Lauren Borden down in the Sydney Swans rooms.
An absolute huge roar as all these players come in. You can hardly hear anything over the sound of them, the sound of everyone clapping. Even John Longmire, just as he was coming through the rooms before the players came in, everyone was giving him a clap. But geez, these boys are absolutely wrapped, just defeated the reigning premiers. And you can barely find space in the room, everyone coming together now to get and belt out this song.
Sydney winners by 12 points at the MCG. We'll be back down to Lauren Borden with an interview as soon as we can get one. So the Swans had their Hall of Fame function in Melbourne a couple of nights ago. They were wearing their South Melbourne Heritage jumper. I'm told Michael O'Loughlin and Brett Kirk spoke about the passion of wearing the blood spirit and the South Melbourne jumper. Well, without Lance Franklin, they showed that tonight.
Let me say this, if you're a Swan supporter, you'd be so proud. How proud could you be? That was just an enormous game, and they continue to go on. They've got a bunch of kids, Logan McDonald, they've got Chad Warner, they've got, Amadi, who's a kid, Errol Goulding, who's in his second or third year or second year, and all those sorts of things. They've got a bunch,
McInerney, Florence,
Wicks.
Haywood.
I think they had 7 players, 21 or under.
Yeah. It's incredible when you think about it. They're beating the premiership side. They shouldn't be able to do so, but they do it with will, and they do it with a culture that I love.
I thought the game of Logan McDonald today
was fabulous.
It was sort of a coming out game, I think.
Yeah.
It was like, hey,
he showed that against Carlton, though. Like, you can see what he's going to be in the future.
Yeah. But he did it all. He marked it on the lead.
Yeah.
He was able to kick goals that way. Then he was able to kick goals for snaps. That one we thought in the last quarter probably went over the goalpost. but he just looked like, I think, and look, taller players do take a little bit longer to develop, but he looks every bit the absolute key forward for the Swans moving into their future.
You know what? And after this game, he'll feel better about himself again. I can beat these blokes. I know I can do that. So he'll work harder and harder and harder and learn how to take them to a spot where they don't want to go and do all those little things that they need to do as a good forward. So that's a really good call.
Sam Reid kicks 3. He was good early. Logan McDonald kicks 3, and he was good late when the pressure was on in the game. I really, really enjoyed his game today.
The other one was Errol Goulding's goal when required.
Both of Papley and Gordon's goal where they did what Melbourne couldn't do. I mean, Max Gawn's shot was a tough shot on goal, but you also think back to the third quarter where the D's had a few opportunities. Fritsch has missed.
See, he should have screwed up and gone, I'm going to get this. But he just missed his foot almost. That's the difference.
Well, that was the pressure, wasn't it? It was a night where the pressure was heightened, and both teams felt it at times. And in the end, Sydney was able to overcome it and capitalise with some crucial goals late.
On the ball control of Melbourne, who went at 64%.
Yeah, their kicking efficiency
was
low.
pathetic.
But that's through tackle pressure,
and also lack of actual push and shove from each other. Who shepherded? Who was there to help? How many smothers did Sydney have? Probably 8 or 10. It was unbelievable.
So just on that tackle pressure, they've won the tackle count 3 times this season, Sydney, coming into tonight. So that's a huge turnaround.
And the reason for that, Maisie, is that if they're gone away, like a lot of people would think Sydney are this big contested tackling team, but over the last couple of years, they've gone away from that because their personnel's changed. So they're more a free-flowing, running, uncontested type of team. But tonight, it was a completely different game style that we've become accustomed to, where they tackled, harassed, they pressured, they smothered, they kicked the ball off the ground. They did all the little things that sometimes you don't get stats for in football.
But they work.
They beat Geelong early in the season, so this is their best win of the season so far. And at a stage in where they're in the top 8, they head to the bye now at 8-4. It all of a sudden feels like they're a side who is not too far away from cementing their spot. And if they can play again like they did like tonight on a consistent basis, they'll be able to get a little bit higher than the bottom half of the 8.
The reality is 2 of the contenders have beaten Melbourne now, Fremantle and Sydney.
And they're both young sides.
And they're both younger sides.
With quick players.
Yes, correct.
That's the key.
So that's what I'm getting at. The chink in Melbourne's armour now is speed. It's turnover. Once you're able to force a turnover, so you force a turnover against Melbourne through pressure, and then once the ball spills out, you've then got to go. You can't let Melbourne's defenders reset. As soon as they reset, they looked all at sea at times without Stephen May tonight. Like Stephen May he's the ultimate setup man. He's pointing and directing and telling people where to move to. Would have Logan McDonald or Sam Reid kicked 3 if Stephen May was there tonight? Probably not.
Maybe not.
Yeah. But at the same time, the Sydney key forwards take their chances.
So
tonight.
what happened to Lever then?
Well, he's a different player without Sam May, Stephen May.
Yeah, I agree.
He's not in the same form that he was last year. He's had some early injury problems, which he's trying to be juggling, but you can tell he's intercepting mark from 4.1 in 2021 down to 1.7 in 2022. So without Stephen May there, it does expose that he's not the player he was last season.
So they played 2 quarters. They played the first quarter, Melbourne, where they actually dominated the whole quarter, right? 5 goals to 1. Then they played the third quarter, which really kept them in it, and without much difference in the score. But no score. They missed. They kept, I think, 1-5, didn't they, in the third quarter?
Yep.
1-5. So there they blow their chance. And then Sydney come back and blow them away. So to me, they're not as consistent as they were.
Yeah, I just think the scores from turnover tonight, 8 goals, 7 to 5 behinds in Sydney's favour. That's significant for the rest of the competition
to look at. Yeah.
I remember we did a game a couple of years ago when Richmond were at the height of their powers and Sydney beat them here really early in the season. And what Sydney did, they changed the launch area of where they kicked the ball inside forward 50 against Richmond. It was sort of, rather than kicking it behind centre where Richmond can get all their defenders together, Sydney was starting to kick the ball from 70 metres out, giving an extra handball to make the Richmond defenders defend. Tonight and last week, the 2 losses that Melbourne have had, it's been significant off turnover. Scores off turnover have really, really hurt Melbourne. So, Yeah, how teams now do their homework on Melbourne may be a little bit different.
And I guess the question heading into this season, in the opening 10 rounds is Melbourne beatable? Well, all of a sudden we've seen that their best players aren't playing as well as what they were this time last season. Now, it's a long time to be up from round 17, round 20 last year, all the way through to round 12 this year. But you look at the disposals of Viney, 32, going at 40% kicking efficiency. Oliver, 29, 56%. Petrarca, 25, going at 47% kicking efficiency. So their stars aren't playing at the level in which they were this time last year.
Well, they're not using the ball as they were.
Yeah.
That's where the issue lies. So,
Are they hungry, you reckon?
Well, look.
No, seriously.
Yeah, I think they're hungry, but I just think now the difference is, Sels, and you know this as well as anybody, when you've had success as a team, teams hunt you.
Look, we know that.
They come at you, and it wears you down.
They test you.
Yeah, it wears you down. So, how long Melbourne have this lull in their season is completely up to them. What they need to get back to...
Reset, mate.
Well, I think they need to get back to that. They need to start applying the pressure. I just thought at times tonight, you look at the last goal that Papley kicks, okay? So Florent takes the mark in Sydney's defensive 50. They've got the lead. They've got a slight lead, okay? So Melbourne's pressure should have been through the roof then. But what they're able to do, they're able to switch the ball to one side, then basically chip it along this broadcast wing here. Ball gets driven into forward 50. Sam Reid competes. Ball spills out. Sam Reid's able to recover, give a little handball. Then the ball goes inside forward 50. Langdon gives the free kick away to Papley. Goal. Game over. If a hungry team and a team that's pressuring, they should have been right up in their faces. There should have been no free targets all over the ground. But they drop back into what they know, that zone style of defence that they've always played, where they needed to be pushing up. They needed to be forcing the error and turnover, but they couldn't do it.
It'd be interesting to see if they can pull themselves out of this and get themselves back up into that brutal performance they had through the final series.
They've got Collingwood on Queen's birthday next Monday, and then the bye. So they've still got one more before they get a breather.
And this is the thing. Collingwood are playing a turnover game now. They're playing a front half turnover game. They've changed their whole style up. So, again, I look, every game in AFL football is tricky. You got to give absolutely everything to win a game of football. Now, at times, sometimes talent is more from one team to the next. But I just felt at times tonight Melbourne's pressure was lacking. It just felt, whether you're 5% off, 6% off, 7% off, if you allow that against the better teams, and Sydney are a better team. They're a younger team, but they're a better team of the competition. You get punished. 5-1 in the first quarter.
You sure do.
And then it's 5-2 in Sydney's favour in the second quarter. So you get punished.
And then from the first quarter, they've added what to their score? They added
4 goals.
4 goals from quarter time.
4 goals, 6.
So that's just ordinary.
Yep.
At best.
Yep.
So Sydney winners by 12 points over Melbourne, 10-13-73 to the Demons, 9-7-61. Lauren Borden down in the Sydney rooms, and we're hoping to get an interview in a moment or two's time. I mean, there's great stories everywhere, really, for the Swans, whether it's Sam Reid at 30 years of age starting to play the footy that the Swans for so long have hoped that he might be, and there's Paddy McCartan and Tom McCartan.
Paddy McCartan's story.
They're good.
He was sensational tonight. He was just... You look at his intercepts. He's had 10 intercept possessions in the game. He's taken 6 marks, but he would have had probably 12, 13 spoils, I think, for the game tonight. So, and you look at the last spoil by his brother, Tom McCartan, just right here in front of us at centre wing. It was a 20-metre spoil. Rowbottom gets it. The ball goes back inside your forward 50. Those two have got to... Brothers always have some sort of connection, but those two seem to have a really good connection, the way they go about their football. So
Tom McCartan's double chase on Cozzy Pickett as well.
Right at three-quarter time was terrific. So they're an interesting side. I think at their best, Sydney, they can, as they've proven tonight, they can beat anybody. But it's that consistent effort from Sydney that's going to define how far they can go on this season.
But are Melbourne the best side at the moment?
I think Melbourne are the best team. I I don't hesitate with that. But in saying that, I think, and I've said this all year, Brisbane are still my pick to win the grand final. You just see little things with Melbourne. I don't think Melbourne have been playing at their best for the whole year.
No.
I think Melbourne have been, because they're so much better than other teams, they've been able to get some wins.
They have. But they're catching up now.
Yeah.
People are catching them.
Yeah. And this is, we've just ticked over winter sellers. The winter months of a football season are the toughest. You your body's starting to feel a bit sore. Teams are coming after Melbourne, so you've got to fight your way through it.
I agree.
It's a tough gig. You guys, you've 3 premierships in 4 years. Teams come after you. You've got to get yourself up, and it's not a coaching thing.
No, we got sick of it winning them. So.
But it's a player. It's a player thing. That's a player thing.
I know it is a player thing. Yeah, you get worn out.
Yeah.
You do. They come at you and they come at you and they come at you. It drives you nuts. But in the end, it's that's the way the game is. You fall over and you regroup again. That's what you're supposed to do.
That's right.
So for so long, it's been Melbourne and the chasing pack.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Freo and Brisbane becomes a massive game tomorrow.
Huge.
Brisbane win. They're equal with Melbourne. I think they're only like 2 percentage points below Melbourne. So there is a real possibility that Brisbane could actually jump to the top of the AFL ladder if they beat Freo in WA tomorrow, which is no easy task in itself.
Well, it helps. Fremantle are missing Walters, Tabnar and Chapman from their forward line. So that's a big help for Brisbane. Yeah, it'll be an interesting game of football. But the pack's there. The pack is there. I was really impressed with Geelong on Friday night and how they were able to basically do it without Tom Stewart in the end. So, they're more than capable. So,
Melbourne's next home game after the Queen's birthday clash is Brisbane here at the MCG on a Thursday night.
That is a beauty.
Fantastic. That's what we want. That's the games of football that we want now, because you want to win it, you got to test yourself against the best sellers.
This is always going to be a test game. This for Melbourne. Because they play a different style, Sydney, to most others.
Yep.
Completely different. They're still tackling. Most other sides don't.
So I think we'll get more than 32,753 for that Melbourne-Brisbane Lions game. Let's head down to the Swans rooms. I think Lauren Borden has managed to get an interview after their 12-point win tonight. Lauren.
Thanks, Clinch. I've got Errol Goulden down here in the rooms. It's a great vibe down here. The VFL boys are around as well. You went into the meeting. There was lots of cheering. What was being said in it?
Just mostly how proud we are of ourselves to come down here against the reigning premiers on their home ground and go down early and fight back and get the game back on our terms. I think that's what we're most proud of.
It must be really satisfying to get this win, as you mentioned, against the reigning premiers. Is that what it feels like?
Yeah, I think so, and I think it's probably our best kind of whole team performance for the year as well. We've gone behind a lot in the first quarters this year, which is something we need to work on, obviously, but we found a way to fight back, and I think everyone played their role tonight, particularly in the second half, and that was probably the thing that got us over the line in the end.
You are right, Melbourne just took control of the game in the first term, but you guys were able to turn it around in the second term and beyond. What was it that sparked that belief, or did you always have it in you and you just had to find something to bring the game back on your terms?
I think we always had the belief. I think inaccuracy early cost us as well. I think at quarter time we had the same amount of scoring shots, but they'd kick 5-1, we kicked 1-5, so we knew that we just kept plugging away with our pressure and tackle after tackle that it would turn eventually in the last quarter. It did.
We'll head upstairs now for some more questions from Adam Ramanauskas, Mark McClure, Andrew Mays and Matt Clinch.
Errol, firstly, what did John and the coaching staff say at quarter time? Because you flicked the switch in the second quarter, 5-2, but it looked from up here, just your pressure lifted enormously in that second quarter. Second quarter was 27 tackles to 16.
Yeah, I think, and our pressure rating got up to 2.36 as well in the second, which was probably the thing that changed it. It was more just layers around the contest as well. A couple of times their mid spat forward and we didn't turn and scope and see that. But that was just the focus of our mids in particular, and I think we got that right in the second half, and probably just our tackling and pressure. That was the main thing.
Now take us through the goal, because we're sitting here and we're saying, has he got the distance? It's late in the game, the legs are a little bit tired, but it looked like you had the confidence at all stages to kick that goal.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd be able to kick it, to be honest. I had a shot from a very similar spot last week against Richmond and kicked an absolute mung that went 30 metres. So I had a fair bit of practice during the week, and Horse gave me a little bit of goal kicking advice as well. He told me during the week to just try and time the ball. So I knew I had a little bit of extra adrenaline and well late in the game. Just tried to time it and was pretty lucky that it went through.
So did John Longmire take you through the Fremantle game and look at some of the things that they did against Melbourne?
Yeah, we looked at a lot of the Freo game. I think their scrap and their layers around the contest and just their forward pressure as well. Their layer after layer of pressure, I think, against any side it's going to be hard to do if you can have 4 quarters of sustained pressure. It's going to be hard to beat them.
Hey, Errol, I know you enjoyed that kick, but so did we, and so did everyone else in this joint. That was magnificent from outside 50.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Errol, it's Matt Clinch here. Can you talk us through sort of the intensity and the pressure of that final term? We felt like it was sort of finals level upstairs. How do you sort of compare it with some of the other big games you played in your short playing career?
Yeah, it definitely felt like that. I think, probably felt pretty similar to round 1 against the Giants where both teams were over 2 with pressure, and the elimination final we played in last year as well. But I think that's probably the type of game that we want, and that's the type of game that we're confident in when there's layers of pressure and constant tackling.
Sam Reid found his form.
Yeah, he's been unbelievable for us when he's come in. I think he does a lot of things that probably most people wouldn't see, but internally his contest down the line, and obviously tonight he got rewarded with some goals, but just getting the ball to ground constantly, that's all we can ask from Reedy.
Errol, just the row bottom tag with Oliver, why was Oliver chosen? Why not Petrarca? What was it about Oliver that you had to stop?
Well, I think we could only tag one of them was the main reason. They're both unbelievable players.
But you have to pick still.
Yeah, I think Oliver just he gets their ball movement going a lot, out of the middle of the ground, and Petrarca is obviously just as equally as damaging. But we just thought that if we could stop Oliver, that that would probably help us win.
How's that clutch goal?
It was a good clutch goal.
It was a beauty.
Hey, one more on the goal, Errol. Can you remember your celebration, or was the blood rushing so much you can't?
Oh, I think I'm going to regret it. I think it was a bit of ham. I think I'll be getting a fair bit of stick from the boys.
It's still going to be second behind Tom Papley, won't it, after that big kick?
Absolutely.
Errol, in terms of the week leading in, obviously you were down in Melbourne for the Sydney, South Melbourne sort of Hall of Fame. I'm gathering a lot of the players went along. What was it like to... for a Sydney Academy player, have that insight into the past club, and what sort of lift did it give you?
We weren't out there at the Hall of Fame thing,
right,
but last year we spent a fair bit of time down here, obviously in the hub, and got to meet a few of the old players, in particular John Herriot, Leo Barry, blokes who wore the same number that I'm lucky enough to wear, and I think when you join the club, that's the first thing they teach is the culture, and we have an induction night where we go to the club with the leaders and they run us through the history of the club, and obviously we've got former players like Benny Matthews, Brett Kirk on the coaching staff, and they're massive in us knowing the history of the club, where the club's come from in South Melbourne, the move and the tough times and also the good times, so it's massive at the Swans that you know that.
It felt like there was a lot of Sydney fans here tonight who enjoyed it, especially down the city end.
Yeah, absolutely. It was kind of reminded me when we played Richmond last year. The fans then were unbelievable, and they were unbelievable again tonight.
As were you. Errol, congratulations on the kick. Mate. Congratulations on the win. Good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Errol Goulden joining us from the Swans rooms. He's easily the most famous Errol in the AFL.
How impressive is that, Sellers? They're talking about the history of the club. For a young kid.
Did that not happen to you? When
Absolutely,
you
that happened to me, right, and that's how I think all players should be inducted into a football club. So you actually know what the history of the club is. You learn about the culture, and then you go and live it.
Does it
and
happen?
It's poured on by... Yes, it does.
Everywhere?
I don't think it happens. No, it doesn't happen everywhere.
Well, I would never.
And I think that's a mistake. I really think that's a mistake that clubs make. You got to understand the club's past to create the future.
Most clubs have a magnificent bunch of blokes who've been around the football club for some time, who've played, been part of it, and you learn from them and you listen to them and what it means to them and all those sorts of things. Some get a bit over the top, but most of you actually look at and you go, gee whiz, this bloke's a really good fella. He's a really good man. He's supportive. He's all those sorts of things that you want from people. And you go back to them all the time, and that's what it's about. And you can use them, you can help them, they can help you. So to me, that's the feel that we got at our footy club, and it was drilled into us that if you need help, come and see me. Come and see this bloke. Come and do that. And we had about 5 or 6 or 7 of the great people that I've ever met, some of the great men. And I'm sure Sydney have the same.
Yep, no doubt.
Especially given he wasn't there at the event during the week.
No, but it doesn't
Spoke really well about
matter.
the history of it.
But they still come into the
You
room.
still hear the stories.
I
don't
didn't
you?
want to back over that,
No. You might as well put your hand up when you make a blue, don't you? We need the votes for the ABC Football of the Year.
this
Who's
would be
got
interesting.
the job tonight?
There's only one person that has
I might
the
just
job.
ask the question just in case.
I had Sam Reid down as one vote. I thought Sam Reid was the best game I've seen him play for some time. He kicked 3 goals at 16 possessions. You know the best part about his game? He had 8 marks and he had 10 tackles. 10 tackles, and he's 6'6". Now, to me, I can't believe that most other people can't do that sort of thing. So that was an enormous effort from a tall forward to do that sort of stuff. Callum Mills, I gave 2. Yeah. He had 26 possessions. He had 11 handballs, and he had 7 marks and 9 tackles. So that's the reason why I liked them, because that's how they won this game, by the number of tackles and the amount of pressure they put on. And I gave 3 votes to Max Gawn. I thought Max Gawn was an unbelievable player. Seriously, he had 28 possessions. He's 6'6". He's not the mobile bloke at all. He had 9 marks, 0 tackles. And that'll show you something about the difference in the teams. And also, he had 28 hit-outs in this game. So for mine, Maxi Gawn was probably best on ground. He was sensational. But the other 2 guys, Mills, they had 19 tackles between them, Reid and Mills. That's why I picked them.
3 to Gawn, 2 to Mills, 1 to Reid. Happy with that?
Always.
You are a good
I
team
think
man.
He rings me on the way home.
So the Swans winners by 12 points here at the MCG. Earlier, it was wins for the Gold Coast Suns by 62 points over North Melbourne. So the Roos kicked 4 goals to 1 in the first quarter before the Suns well and truly took control there. 13 individual goal scorers and a 10th consecutive loss for North Melbourne. So Toot Miller got the 3 votes in the ABC Football of the Year in his 150th game. And Adelaide 31-point winners over the West Coast Eagles, in which Taylor Walker got the 3 votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year. Tomorrow, Grandstand AFL on air from midday with Corbin Middlemass, Lauren Arnell and Brett Delidio. And then, of course, Collingwood and Hawthorn from the MCG. A pretty interesting clash, given the Pies all of a sudden had a win over the Blues, and the Hawks will be keen to bounce back after a pretty ordinary night at the office in Darwin last week against the Suns.
Well, I had a really nice day with Ed.
I'm led to believe you did, yeah.
Yeah, and it was in the box. 2.5 hours with Ed McGuire following the Collingwood. I just had a headache. I went home with nightmares. But I did drink some of his wine, and it was actually, he's a good fellow, Ed. A lovely bloke. That was a great game, wasn't it? Wasn't it a good game of footy? Collingwood Carlton.
What's been the best game of the season, do you think? Is tonight up there?
It was one of them. I think it was one of them. It wasn't spectacular tonight, but it was tense.
Geez, best game of footy. Tested me now.
Tested you now, yeah. Sort of 10-25 on a Saturday night.
I thought Carlton Collingwood last week was a really good game. Really good game of football.
I thought it was too.
I enjoyed that game a lot.
I did too. I think that's probably one of the better games. But when's the Carlton Essendon one?
Don't worry.
That's next Friday night, isn't it?
This is unbelievable.
Just planting the seed
unbelievable.
We'll probably get beat.
Oh, gee.
We couldn't.
So next Friday night, Essendon and Carlton, and then are you... they've got the Bombers celebration the following day?
Well, I had that night. There's all sorts of things happening. So there's 150th year for Essendon, so against our oldest rival, Carlton, so they're going to do
I'm going to that game.
A spectacular opening ceremony sort of stuff. Then there's a gala dinner the next night. So they're doing a really good job. They've invited every past player that they've had details for the football club. So, yeah, look, it should be. Hopefully, it's a winning weekend for Essendon, but it should be a good weekend to recognise the significance of the Essendon.
Do you want us to lay down?
That'll be nice.
Sydney winners by 12 points tonight, handing Melbourne their second consecutive defeat. On behalf of the team, thanks for your company for Saturday night footy. Great to have Rama and Sellers in on a Saturday night. Thanks, Maisie. Thanks to Lauren Borden. Here's a little bit of how the Swans were able to record a historic victory at the MCG, recording their 8th win of the season.
From 50 50. Neil Bullen, who put Pickett under all sorts of pressure. He got out in 3 tackles and flared it wide as well. Spargo set a task, shepherded it beautifully, allowed Viney into it, and he can go over the top inside 50, and he finds Jackson left forward pocket. Missed one opportunity, and this time the snap, and he delivers.
Kicks inside 50, Gawn's on the lead, it's just over his head, and Latham spoils it to the boundary. Cozzy slaps it in back to play to Petrarca, half pass to Ben Brown, back to Max Gawn, the ruckman on the right.
Bailey Fritsch to line up from just inside 50 on his approach. His kick is shaping back towards the middle, and he's got it.
Had an early sider, needs to kick this, must kick it. Sam Reid comes in, and Sydney had their first goal at the 28-minute mark of the opening term. So Sam Reid will have a shot on goal. Perennially had his challenges with his body, but when he's up and firing, he's good to watch. And Sam Reid steers through his second. The young Western Australian with 1 goal already tonight to pull the Swans back within a point. He liked it before it went straight over the goal umpire's hat. And Warner gathers, he's got no one further afield. He puts it towards Papley one-on-one. Got his body pushed away, Hunt, gathered the footy, vacant goal mouth, it's all in the kick, and Papley bounces it through.
Back to Harms, he'll kick inside 50. Not a lot of space there. Coming back with a flight was Fox. Fritz is onto it. He turns onto his left and bends it beautifully from the right forward pocket. Tomlinson long kick out. It's rode beautifully by Viney from the contest. Hand pass to Pickett. They're over halfway and they're out the back here. Just has to sit for Fritz. It does. He snapped and he does it beautifully. Tarong, high kick inside 50. Amati v Salem. Amati didn't take the mark. Won it down though. Hand pass comes to McDonald, who falls and bends it enough to kick the goal. And the Swans are back within a point. Big fist from behind by Paddy McCartan. He'll end up with Goulden, who couldn't quite take the ball. He got held back though, and he can take the kick from about 52. He'll have to kick from. Does he have the journey? Seems confident in his approach. He'll kick from 51. It's a long kick. It's coming back. Sydney in front.
Tom Papley deep in the left forward pocket, steps out, snaps, all eyes on me as Tom Papley sails it straight through the middle. The siren sounds and the young Bloods are winners. They down the reigning premiers by 12 points with the most significant win of their season, and Melbourne record back-to-back losses for the first time since 2020. The Swans winners by 12 points.